The following podcast contains strong language and alternative facts. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at Heel Podcast. Over the airwaves and under the influence, we are Turning Heel.
Let's get the shindig started. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Turning Heel podcast with me, the Griz. And with me this week is Chris motherfucking Hughes.
Howdy doo-doo. Oh my god, it's a cat.
Are we still live? I'm not a cat.
How great was that video? Man, I meant to send that to you. I totally forgot. I'm glad you've seen it.
Yeah. It's one of the best things ever, just because like the little filter just kept moving. It was just like such a serious conversation. And he's just like, oh, I'm not a cat.
Oh, I'm here live and in person, and I am not a cat.
Yeah, because we believe that you just all of a sudden changed species partway through this conversation.
For anyone that's not seen it, I highly recommend you Google it. You'll find it. Just lawyer is cat. That's all. Just type that into Google. You'll find it. If this was
probably I'm not a cat might also work.
If our live stream test had worked tonight, I could have just played the video for everybody. But oh well.
Oh, there's a little glimpse into the glorious future of Turning Heel podcast, and some of the shit that we are setting up for our future. Because the future is bright. The future is drunk.
Yes. Yep. I ordered 14 litres of a really nice German beer that I like, whose name I'm not going to say because they don't pay us any money. But I ordered 14. I ordered 14 litres of it, and I didn't fully read the description online whilst I was ordering them, and they arrived yesterday. And it turns out they were actually designed for like pubs to be like selling takeaway beers. So
okay.
they're like actually taken straight from the keg and then bottled into litre bottles. But because they're draft beer and not like they're not conditioned to sit in a bottle forever, you have to drink them within a week, otherwise they go off. So I'm going to have a fucking great weekend.
No, we are going to have a great weekend.
Hence why I'm drinking out of Stein, because they're in litre bottles.
Nice. And plus, a Stein, like, I mean, say what you will, like I have my different variations of drinking utensils, like my drinking horn and my glorious powerwolf goblet, but you know, sometimes you just can't beat a massive Stein.
Well, absolutely not, especially when it's very nice German beer. That starts with an L and has a blue label. If you're listening from that brand, sponsor us.
Yeah. Surprised that the drunkest podcast on the internet doesn't have any kind of alcoholic sponsorship yet.
Yeah. If anyone out there runs a brewery and wants to sponsor us, go for it, man. Also, just a declaration. My sound might be a bit shit in this episode. It might sound a bit echoey. It's because I've relocated into a new studio. I've not quite finished setting it up yet, so I've just noticed how echoey the room is now that I'm talking at length in it. So yeah, apologies for that. It will be better next time, I promise.
Good shit. Hopefully the last episode that was put up, which as was mentioned, was edited by yours truly. Hopefully that wasn't a complete clusterfuck.
I'm sure it was fine.
Yeah, but assume so. I mean, nobody's complained saying it was shit, so...
None of the 6 listeners have.
Well, we're moving up to about 8 now, so...
Yeah, moving on up now. Out of the darkness.
Up, baby. And it's you and me now, and Robert. The only way is up, baby. So, we are here once again in a sort of midweek chat because this weekend that just passed, we have not one but two wrestling pay-per-views with another to come this weekend. So we are in the middle of a pay-per-view sandwich, a triple-decker, if you will.
Pay-per-view frenzy.
And then, in fact, I believe... Let's have a quick look at the old calendar. Then we get a weekend's break, and then we have AEW with their next pay-per-view offering. So, I mean, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan if you're into that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. I'm fair looking forward to the next one. To be fair, it's the next 6 weeks or so is going to be pretty stacked because we're going to have WWE's pay-per-view before WrestleMania, Roadblock, or whatever the fuck they're calling it now.
Fastlane, I think.
I think it is Fastlane, yeah. And then we'll have Media Weekend.
Yes, which is 2 nights as well. So it's all going to be.
Hopefully there'll be a few indie shows as well that runs over Mania Weekend. With limited crowds. Like the usual ones. So I'm not talking about Progress or anything like that. Do you know what I mean?
Even though they are back.
Well, saying that, actually, to be fair, the only one that I would definitely do it would be Evolve, but obviously, rest in peace. So there might not be any indie shows, but we'll see.
Well, GCW still is doing all right for themselves now, so wouldn't be surprised if they if they try and pull something off.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they do it in Tampa, right enough.
No, I think they'd probably do it kind of local to where they are. But
to be fair though, there is going to be people in Tampa that will buy a ticket. It depends. It really depends on the restrictions. Like, I'm so out of touch with the restrictions just now.
Yeah. I know it's rough to figure out right now, but I mean, because there was like a blood sport show over the weekend, which I haven't checked out yet, but I might try and see if I can get around to at some point. But so I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that happens close to, if not on, Mania weekend. Be kind of nuts for them to try and going up against WrestleMania, I would say, but maybe if they do like a Thursday Friday kind of collective or whatever they want to call it.
I think it's really down to what NXT do as well, as to whether or not there's an NXT show on the Friday night. I don't know if you heard the media conference with Finn Balor where he was point blank asked if he wanted to defend the NXT title on WrestleMania, and he said he didn't. He said the NXT Takeover before Mania is like arguably the most special one of the year, and he's like, the title should be reserved for Takeover.
Interesting.
Which, it's interesting he says that. It's as if he maybe already knows that there's a takeover. So,
yeah, considering I was kind of under the assumption that they were just going to do NXT matches at Mania to beef out the 2 nights.
That's what I was expecting as well, but that was I mean, that might just be him throwing an answer out there just to, because he doesn't know what he's doing at Mania, if he's doing anything at Mania. But maybe. I just find it strange that he says that the NXT title should be reserved for Takeover and Takeover only. Because he's basically talked to sell at a WrestleMania payday.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I've had a few of them in my career, so I'm alright with it.
Yeah. We'll see. Obviously, we'll see what happens. But should we kick things off with No Surrender?
We shall do indeed. Just before we start, anyone that has listened to the last episode, listened to our picks for the women's tournament. That's all I'll say about that just now. But we will talk about that this weekend. But I can imagine there'll be some people sniggering right now as I say that. But we'll move on. Because No Surrender kicked off its pay-per-view extravaganza on Saturday night with Decay, with the addition of the new Black Taurus, taking on Triple XL and Tenille Dashwood.
I've got such a fucking love affair with Decay. I don't know what it is, man, but I liked them the first time round. and I like them again this time round. I think it's the theme tune. I fucking love the theme tune.
The theme tune definitely helps. But now that they have the addition of Black Taurus, that just because as I was kind of saying to Robert on the last episode, I was racking my brains trying to think of anybody even remotely dark and spooky that could join this sort of team, and I was kind of drawing a blank. And then when Black Taurus came out, I was like, was
it not me and you that had that conversation?
May have been.
Because the last time it was you and Robert on, Black Taurus would have already been unveiled.
I know, but I was like, maybe I reiterated the conversation to Robert in the last episode as well.
We definitely spoke about it originally before the reveal of Black Taurus.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of him, first of all, since this is the first time that you get to talk about him?
He's a very scary looking individual, shall we say. To be fair, I did not really got to see much of him in terms of actual wrestle. He wrestled Caleb with a K in what was just an absolute fucking...
Yeah, for all of 30 seconds.
Yeah, just an absolute squash. And then a six-man tag. You don't really get... No, six-person tag. You don't really get to see the best of them. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I've seen more of him actually wrestle one-on-one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But as seems to be tradition with me in these pay-per-views, I seem to always struggle with my feeds during decay matches because once again, I only have a few lines of notes, being that at one point AC Romero throws Dashwood out of the ring on top of everyone, and then Caleb just starts saying, right, I think that's enough, and Caleb with a K and Dashwood start to leave the action, as in the ring, Taurus hits his Falcon Arrow driver on Larry D for the win. It was a fun little opener, but again, yeah, kind of as you say, like, I've seen Black Taurus a few other times because they used to do Impact in Mexico and they used a lot of Mexican talent while they were over there. So it's not my first time seeing him, but yeah, like, definitely I feel like more singles matches coming your way for Black Taurus would be a good idea to get to know him a bit better.
Yeah, definitely. Also, full disclosure on this, I watched this pay-per-view absolutely shit-faced. So some of the things you tell me might be used to me. But
so yeah, pretty much Black Taurus, Mantar done right.
Yeah.
Next match on the card was Eddie Edwards and Matt Cardona taking on Brian Myers and Hernandez.
With Hernandez's second half of his payday on the line.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the first half of the payday that he got given looked fucking gigantic, so enough that Falaba was observing from the shadows.
Yep.
So most of this match was Brian Myers trying to avoid Cardona. So finally, when Cardona and Myers end up getting in the ring, it's kind of electric, for lack of a better word, because it's kind of exciting actually seeing these two go at it as opposed to being partners.
Yeah, if there's a crowd there, you can imagine the pop.
Yeah. So Myers goes up top looking to his diving elbow, but Eddie in to evade. Eddie dives out onto Hernandez, but then is caught, and then kind of taken out at ringside. I think he was powerbombed on the apron, maybe. Cardona with a Rana, and Eddie... yeah, that's what happened. Eddie goes for the dive the first time, is caught by Hernandez, but Eddie breaks free. Cardona hits a Rana in the ring, and then Eddie attempts to dive on Tez again, and then that's when he gets taken out. And Myers hits his running clothesline on Cardona, which gets the victory. So, what do you kind of think about this? It's a kind of a push for Myers. Like, this has been the longest stream of victories I think Myers has had in his entire career at this point.
Yeah, probably is, actually. Definitely if you include his WWE record.
Yeah. With that 140 plus losing gimmick.
Yeah. So all to come to an end at WrestleMania. At least they got a payoff for that.
Yeah, in front of 80,000 people. No, it wasn't. Not even close.
It was.
It was on the. It was like the first match on the pre-show. It was probably.
Sorry. I thought you were thinking. Sorry, I thought you meant it was in last year's WrestleMania. I'm like, no, it was definitely New York.
No, no. You're probably looking at maybe 10,000 if you were lucky by the time that match was on. But we'll move on to Diener versus Jake something.
Oh my god! Can we discuss that?
Okay.
The Jake something thing that really bugged me. It really bugs me. Still, it really bugs me because it's just stupid. It's like, surely you have an actual name that you could just use.
Yeah, it's something. That's his real last name.
Yeah, pretty sure it's not. But like, I liked his line on Impact building up to it, saying like,
yeah.
I want to be something, right? I get that. But then
I want to stand for something.
Yeah, but then actually using that as his fucking second kayfabe name, oh man, and they did fucking Titantron and it was on the tights and everything, man, and I'm like, how irrelevant does this make you sound?
I think that was his name before he came to Impact, his cousin Jake, to be honest.
What, Jake something?
Yeah, I think that was his name.
Hold on, to Google I go, because it makes them sound really fucking irrelevant.
Yeah, that's the word I was about to use. I suppose I don't find it that bad because like his Twitter handle has always been Jake something. So it was always kind of there in the background if you were, a bit more eagle-eyed, but
see, that would make sense though. I know obviously if he changes his Twitter handle, then he's going to lose his blue tick or whatever, but
yeah.
That kind of makes sense though, because kayfabe doesn't have a surname, it's just Cousin Jake.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Cousin Jake was taken, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that makes sense, but fuck's sake, he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Does he not? No way. Maybe
seriously, I've just typed in Cousin Jake Wikipedia and it's Cody Diener is the first one that comes up.
Well, why don't you try Yeah, let's have a look. Well, what I'll do is I'll type in Google Jake something and see what comes up. This is going to be amazing radio. Right, let's have a look. Well, there you go. Jake something. Jake Carter, wrestler. As an American professional pro wrestler and former football player. And apparently at one point he was in WWE. He wrestled in the developmental territories as Jake Carter. He's a second-generation pro wrestler. His father, Leon Am I looking at the same guy?
I don't think you are.
I don't think I am. I was about to say Jake's something is fucking... Yeah, I'm Jake Hager, Jake Roberts, Grizzly Smith. I think you're right. I don't think he has an actual Wikipedia. There is like a pro wrestling.fandom article for him.
Yeah.
I think that's under the ring name Jake Diener, which wasn't his name. He's
right,
one half.
Okay, so the ring names he's used in his career: Cousin Jake, Dirty Berserk, Jacob Hallows, Jake Diener, Jake Holmes, Jake Shooter, Jake something, and Jake Wayne Holmes. Why could he not just use any one of those?
I mean, some of those do sound a bit better than Jake something.
Yeah, it doesn't even tell you his real name.
Yeah, that is a bit weird. I'm just having a gander just to try and see if I can find any other instance. Because I just kind of assumed, like, yeah, maybe it was just Jake something in the Indies and that's him going back to it, but it doesn't look like he kind of done that for very long.
Yeah. I'm going to go with his actual name is Jake Holmes, since he's used a variation of that twice.
Yeah. Because there's Jake Wayne Holmes, and then Jake Holmes. His finishing move, the something bomb.
Yeah, see, that fucking irritates me, man. Like, I actually quite like Cousin Jake, and I'm like, it just makes him sound so irrelevant. It worked when he was just kind of like the muscle for Corey Deener. Do you know what I mean?
See, like, why
it's just been Cousin Jake, and it works
Yeah.
with the whole Diener gimmick, like the pure hillbilly gimmick, right? I get it, but for fuck's sake, Jake something. It's just such an irrelevant I just don't care about him anymore, man. So I'm like, Jake something, really? Just
Like,
use his fucking real name or give him a kayfabe surname that's
Yeah,
not
like-
something.
You could have maybe went for something like, well, his nickname's Big Nasty, so why don't you just call him Big Nasty Jake, and then let that be it? Because it's always that kind of thing where, sure, stuff like that sounds stupid on paper, but see, the second that like the ring announcer says it for the first time, like all of a sudden you're like,
Big Nasty Jake Hallows. There you go. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That'd have been fine. Oh, Impact! Oh, I've got another epic rant to go on later as well, but we'll go on it when we get there. I think you can probably guess what it is.
probably. So Diener sets up Jake in the corner with his shoulder sort of resting on the buckle, then hits a drop kick to Jake's butt. So the shoulder gets jacked up in said corner. Jake gets a big slam in on Diener and starts to fight back. Jake hits a Falcon Arrow, but Diener rolls right out of it, so that prevents the pin. Jake dives over the top on top of the other members of Violent by Design. I really think Violent but Deadly sounds like a better name, because I see me just keep wanting to say it when I abbreviate VBD. And then he hits Diener with a black hole slam, gets the 3 count, and then as soon as the 3 hits, Doring in, and then they all begin to beat down something. Young with a table, and Doring with a power bomb, putting a Jake through the table. So it doesn't look like we're done here when it comes to Violent but Deadly. I did it again.
Yeah.
Okay, just roll with it.
This is kind of off topic, right? And it's to do with Raw, where it's just something I noticed on Raw that made me chuckle.
Okay.
Did you notice John AJ's promo on Raw, where he was talking about his lawyer?
Yes.
And he's like, you know that attorney? Joseph M. Parks. I got me. That proper tickled me. Just when you said Black Hole Slam there, that's just how it popped back into my head. But
I don't like that's the thing is, whenever you say Black Hole Slam, like there's only one person you ever think about that ever hit that move, and
Yeah.
that being Abyss. So it is weird whenever you sort of see other wrestlers hit it, and you're like, and they still call it the Black Hole Slam, and it's like, is that the name of the move? I assume it is because it's a spinning slam, so black hole, yada yada. But I can't help but feel as if like maybe they should have just.
I don't think that is like the name of the actual move. I think it's just again, it's going to sound like I'm shitting on Impact, and I don't mean to. So I'm actually quite enjoying it overall. But Impact do love to keep harking back to these stars that they had yesteryear. They always like to kind of see that when they done the whole fucking Hornswoggle's AJ Styles thing and all that,
Yeah.
and it's like
Yeah.
they always like just dropping those wee reminders on how this guy. Remember we used to have him? He was cool. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Keyword used to.
yeah, like the whole calling it the Black Hole Slam thing, I don't think that's anything to do with it being the actual name of the move. I think it's just want to drop it in there because people will have the same reaction I did. I'll be like, oh, remember Abyss?
I mean, like, I'm not just talking about Impact doing it, because like there are other companies that do it. In fact, I think somebody at AEW recently kind of hit that move. I think it might have been Nick Camarado on like one of the Dark episodes recently. Kind of hit the spinning slam, and they called it the Black Hole Slam, and it was like, I mean, if it's not the name of the move when it was invented, it's definitely became the name of the move.
Yeah, kind of a bit like the GTS.
Yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. And then, like, the rock bottom as well, that used to just be called the Uranagi, but now everybody just kind of refers to it as the rock bottom. I mean, wrestling fans for that one, I suppose, like, because you don't hear them say rock bottom in AEW, but I digress.
Aye, yeah, because they call it Uranagi in AEW.
Yeah. I know, I mean, but like everybody's like, oh man, see when they hit the rock bottom on blah blah blah, and it's like, it's not called the rock bottom in AEW.
Also, I think a Uranagi and the rock bottom are slightly different.
Maybe, but only
Because like
slightly.
I think with the rock bottom, it's more a flashy version of the move where so you get them in it and you fucking, do you know what I mean? Whereas Uranagi's quite quick. It's
And the way that
like,
The Rock kind of like he spreads out his whole body as he does it, whereas like if you watch Samoa Joe do it, he just kind of like right up with you now.
aye, like it's very. I think it's different enough to not be the same move to me. Like I wouldn't call it a rock. If I seen a Uranagi, I would call it a rock bottom because it's very different. It's not as showboaty as a rock bottom is. Like for example, right? Here's an idea: Samoa Joe, Uranagi, right? Lionheart, rock bottom.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's more or less the same move, but it's all about the delivery of it, which I think is what distinguishes it.
it's like Lionheart always used to say, like, "Oh man, I was just this young kid pretending to be The Rock, and then I grew up and still kind of pretended to be The Rock."
Yeah.
So, rest in peace, brother.
Yeah, Miss Lionheart. Anyway, digress.
Yeah. So backstage, Tommy Dreamer was given a present by Eddie Edwards and Alicia. They also presented him with some nice words, and then Alicia gave him a hug. Aww. We move on to the 8-man triple threat eliminator special. We've forgotten the actual name of it.
Triple threat eliminator. That was it.
Yeah, close enough.
Which I very much enjoyed.
Yes, yeah, this was great fun.
I quite like the concept. It was basically just a gauntlet match with just a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, and considering this was the first of 2 gauntlet matches we had this week on television.
Yeah. But WWE seems to love a fucking gauntlet match now. They've had quite a few of them over the last couple of years. I think it was ages. It was proper years before they had one till they had that epic one on Raw. Remember we watched it live and like the whole first hour of the show was the gauntlet match, and then since then they seem to do it every 6 months or so.
Yeah, like for the most part, it's always around Elimination Chamber, and I think that works because it is still the same kind of concept without the cage.
Yeah.
With the whole one man kind of in at a time and yada yada. I mean, again, just very quickly harping back to Raw since we mentioned it already. I loved the way that they done the whole Kofi story again, and then AJ just went out of his way to eliminate him like right away from the match. It was like, nah, you're not getting that shine in the gauntlet this time, son.
Yeah.
And then, since we're still at it, the way Randy Orton got eliminated by Alexa Bliss being on TV. I've activated her. Yep. Okay, she's went back to sleep. The way that like 1,000 Blisses appeared on the screens and he got counted out because of that.
Yeah. See the fact they tried to get back in though? Kind of like, now come on, Randall.
Like, just
get in. You know the rules.
I know it would have been better if he got in the ring and then just got clayboarded, and it's like, well, Randy Orton can take another loss, like, because he's fucking Randy Orton, and really, that doesn't mean much, especially if he was distracted.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I thought the way that he got counted out was a bit dumb, because it's like, oh no, Alexa Bliss is on 1,000 TVs. That sounds like everybody else's wet dream, if you ask me.
Well, no comment.
Okay, I can see you nodding, so it's fine. So we kickstart this match with Trey Miguel, Blake Christian, the newest WWE signee. I wonder how he'll do in this match. And Suicide.
I like how WWE announced that before fucking this show.
Oh, we're saying Blake Christian. Huh. Which is a really weird pickup, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, well, it's a developmental deal, so he won't be going straight on TV or anything.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be like Kurt Stallion and August Gray and just be almost exclusively 205 live bound.
Yeah.
And then he wins the number one contendership, and then I talk about him for 6 months, and then he finally has his match, and then it's never heard from again.
As is tradition.
As is tradition. So Suicide goes for a moonsault, and Trey keeps up. Then Trey goes for a moonsault, and Suicide keeps up. And then Suicide goes for another moonsault and almost lands on Trey's head with the way that Trey got up just that smidgen too slowly. And if he was any closer, Suicide would have just like kind of kneed him square in the head. Probably jacked his fucking neck or something. So Trey then attempts just said that. Suicide gets the moonsault off the second attempt, and Trey locks in his leg submission. I still don't know what the name of it is, so it's going to be leg submission until then. And Suicide taps out. So then we move on to Trey Miguel versus Blake Christian versus Chris Bay. Bay comes in, hits a double Rana, which is always a move that I hate because it makes no sense, even in the realms of wrestling.
Yeah.
There was a C4 on the outside by Blake on Trey, and then back in the ring, Bay hits a cop killer on Blake, eliminating Blake Christian. Then we move on to Trey Miguel versus Chris Bay versus Daivari.
You know that's going to be his WWE name, don't you? Christian Blake.
Yeah. I mean, considering I keep accidentally almost calling him it, like, I wouldn't be surprised, and you could easily get away with it.
Yeah.
Oh,
man. I just pulled the perfect style. Sorry, this is, again, great radio. But, guys, check this out.
Okay. Well, what you should do is you should take a... You should take a photo of it and put it up on the old Facebook.
Yeah, we need to start using Facebook more. So, do you know what? I will.
Yeah, boom. So, Daivari comes in, starts taking out both men, and then I think he kind of has a suplex on Chris Bay. Then he starts gloating by doing push-ups. This allows Trey to come off the top rope with a Meteora. Daivari's gone almost instantly. Then we get the next match. Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, and Josh Alexander. So Trey jumps on Josh Alexander's back with a choke, and then Alexander picks up Chris Bay in a suplex and hits both of them at the same time. So drops on his back, gets Trey off his back, and hits a suplex. That was fucking nuts. Bay comes off the ropes, but is caught into a reverse F5, for lack of a better move name. Because it was literally like, it was like he was up in the torture rack, and then spun round F5 still, as opposed to landing on his face. Then the ankle lock is locked in, Chris Bay taps. This brings us on to Trey Miguel, Josh Alexander, and Willie Mack. So Mack is in with a couple of Samoan drops and a double moonsault. Trey with a superplex attempt, but Mack comes in and turns it into a Tower of Doom. There's the Meteora on Mack while Mack was carrying Josh for a slam, and then there was the double pin on Mack to get him eliminated. This brings us to the final match of this, where Trey Miguel, Josh Alexander, and Ace Austin go at it. And this one was actually given quite a little bit of time, where both Trey and Josh turn their attention to Ace as he enters. Ace takes down both men and then plants Trey with a spinning impaler for 2. There was a poison Rana by Trey and a cutter for 2 as Ace then breaks up the count. Ace hits his awesome Fosbury flop over the top. There was a cheeky Nando's by Trey and then a Rana on Josh on the outside. Spinning neck breaker for 2 by Trey. Alexander with a double Death Valley driver on both opponents, which looked badass. A pedal driver gets countered by Ace, but Josh locks in the ankle lock. Ace tries to counter Josh, but then just gets power bumped for his troubles. Josh then hits the double underhook pedal driver, gets the victory, and Josh Alexander is now the number 1 contender for the X Division Championship. There, are you happy now, Chris?
Yes, I am.
Good. Because you were the first person I thought of when I seen him win.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I really like Josh Alexander. I don't know why. Like, because he has pretty much. He does that gimmick that I hate. Like, I don't mind like the all-American amateur wrestler thing, but something that really bugs me is the ear guards. I don't know why it bugs me so much, but it does. Like, there's that Scottish wrestler whose name I can't even remember.
Alan.
What's that?
Alan.
Yeah, and put off him straight away because of that fucking headgear. So, just goes to show how good Josh Alexander is at the fact that I can see past the headgear. I can see the man underneath.
I mean, let's face it, nobody in pro wrestling rocked a headgear like Kurt Angle when he went bald.
Yeah, see, that was funny though. Like,
but it's a legitimate kind of thing for him. I think I don't know if it exactly helps, but like he did break his neck, and I feel like I don't think the headgear would exactly help it, but there was a reason. I think he must have got like dinged really hard in the ear one time, and it's like
he must have really bad cauliflower ear or something like that.
Or maybe that's the thing. Like maybe he got dinged in the ear, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want them cauliflower ears. Let me stick this shit on."
Yeah,
and I do think it kind of works with his more of a sort of bruiser submission-y kind of wrestler. So I mean, it's not something that's ever bothered me personally, but I can kind of see at the same time how it bothers some other people.
Yeah. No, it definitely bothers me. Not for him though. It's strange. I can't explain it. Other than he's just that fucking good. I'm like, it's kind of like when WWE first signed Finn Balor, and I was like, oh my god, Finn Balor's a terrible name, and I'm like, but he's that good, I can look past the terrible name.
And stuff like that just grows on you as well.
Oh yeah.
So, it's kind of one of those things. I mean, granted though, I am still coming to terms with the names of the Rascals in NXT now. You talk about just having two hats with random names in it, and then they just were like, right, stick your left hand in this one, stick your right hand in the other. Right, this is your new name. Oh, I'm going to be Nash Carter. Okay, I mean, right. Well, Desmond, one you get. Oh, I'm going to be Wesley. Well, your first match is tonight. Good luck, guys.
I actually kind of like Wesley.
I mean, it's better than Nash Carter. Nash Carter's a horrible name. Like that sounds like the kind of name that you would give to like one of Cameron Grimes' friends. This is my buddy, Nash Carter.
I assume that you and Robert already gleamed over the new Cameron Grimes gimmick on the last episode.
We did indeed.
But
you were saying in the chat?
Yeah, so according to Brian Alvarez, that this gimmick, his inspiration is actually based very much on real life, because he did actually make millions in the stock market recently, but it wasn't on GameStop, it was on AMC. So there you go.
The TV production?
I assume so. That's all the AMC I know of, but
yeah, it was just like, so he made money on the TV production that makes Walking Dead, or the TV channel, I suppose.
Yeah, which is mad when you think about it. You wouldn't think you would make that much money on that stock because it'd be expensive to buy. It's not like you would buy cheap, sell high.
I know.
Unless he invested in it years ago or whatever, or his family did or something like that, and the stocks were handed down to him or something. I don't know, but that's don't take that up with me. Take it up with Brian Alvarez. It was him that reported it.
Yeah, he said it. He said it. I didn't do nothing. Don't shoot the messenger.
But yeah, I find that quite interesting. I mean, good on him if he did make millions on the stock market recently.
Absolutely, and the fact that he is still willing to wrestle. That's quite the thing, because if I won millions while I was a wrestler in NXT, I'd be like, fuck this wrestling shit, I'm a millionaire now.
To be fair, that's all the more reason to do the wrestling shit. Because you don't need to worry. Like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm fine anyway.
Yeah, I suppose, and probably now thinking about it, being in NXT might actually be the best place to be if you were a millionaire wrestler.
It'd probably take a load of pressure off you as well, because it's not like I have to get out of NXT, I have to get to the main roster, have the headline WrestleMania, and I make my fucking millions. If I already made it, then you're doing it because you love it. Fair play.
Yeah, I'll just hang out here and be a wee pain in the arse that still says to the moon and throws money all over the place.
Yeah, like, I actually really hope that they don't ever move Cameron Grimes to the main roster. I want him to be the next Gargano and Ciampa. That's just an NXT guy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he would not work in the main roster. Vince would hate him and he'd disappear into the ether within a couple of months.
Yeah, he'd be Bo Dallas too. Well, speaking of which, I did read that Meltzer says apparently Bo Dallas is still under contract to WWE, but they literally have nothing for him, so that's why he's not been on TV in over a year.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, well, think of something. Like, and even then, if you don't have anything to do, why can't you just wrestle a main event and do, pointless matches?
Yeah, like, just have him doing something.
Like, okay, here's something that literally just came into my head. He still comes out to the B team theme music, but then he cuts a promo and says, the B stands for Bo. It's Bo's team.
There's no one around him.
Yeah, exactly. It's just him. But he is a team, and he's on, and he's just delusional. And then he, keeps trying to hire other, lower card, jobbers, from the 24/7 division to join the B team, and they're all like, "Nah, you're all right." But then he's like, "It's all right. I've still got Bo. It's Bo's team." There, simple as that. It's something that only take 5 minutes, and then he can be with the other bunch of randos running after the 24/7 title.
Yeah, why don't they even have him doing that? Just running after the fucking... He doesn't even need a story to be doing that. I mean, they've got fucking Eric running after it because Ivor's out. Do you know what I mean? So he's just running after it for no reason. And he's not fucking won it yet, as far as I can tell.
He won it once in, a massive schmoz. It was, a nine-person match for the 24/7 title, and then it changed hands about 8 times. And then Truth won it back and ran away, as per the usual.
Yeah.
But what?
Not anymore, because we've got a new 24/7 champion.
Yes. Akira Tozawa won the belt, and then probably lost it.
Yep. We'll talk about that in the main show.
He sure did lose it, and that's all I'm going to say about it. We're never talking about it again.
Yeah.
You know for a fact that they only done that because he was appearing on Saturday Night Live over the weekend. This weekend? Yeah, this weekend. So he's totally going to be performing on SNL with
the 24/7
the belt. Aye. And sometimes I wonder why people don't enjoy Impact as much. As we move on to Fire and Flavor defending. Hi, Kitten.
He's
defending
me. Pretty seriously attacking me, to be fair.
Yeah, he was wrapped right around your arm there. As we have Fire and Flavor taking on Havoc Nevaeh for the Knockouts Tag Team Championships in a Texas Tornado match.
Yep. Why don't you tell everyone about the match? I'm going to deal with my predatory attacker here.
No worries, I just needed to kind of breathe there for a second. So Havoc almost crushes Kira's skull with the Rikishi style butt drop during this match. Kira starts beating down Havoc and Nevaeh with a candlestick. There was a code breaker to Nevaeh by Tasha Steelz, and there was a double suplex by Havoc onto the champs. Havoc goes for a splash on both champs at the corner and goes face first into a chair. that she set up during the match, kind of at the start, and then Steels gets the pin on Nevaeh with a flipping cutter to retain. It was very. Oh man, you really are making a racket over there.
Is that loud, yeah?
Yeah.
Ah, right, okay, shit.
Is that Fergal playing with his toys?
No, it's the best thing I ever got. It's an automatic cat laser.
Okay.
So, like, I got it for when I'm working, when he does what he just done there. So, like, I put it on, and he just pure loves it. So, put it on at a timer for 15 minutes. Chases it about for 15 minutes. Then he's so tired after he chases laser about for 15 minutes, he just goes straight to sleep.
I need to get one of those. That's great.
It's the best tenner I ever spent. But
give me.
I was going to say, I apologise if it's loud. But if I move it into another room, he won't go into another room. He must be in the same room as me all the time.
I can see him in the background. No, I just thought you were like running something across your table or whatever, and it's like, fucking shut up.
No, this is his toy. I apologise to anyone listening. The downside of now living on my own is I can't just pop him off to the flatmate when we're recording. So
yeah, sadly. So he always needs to see. This is what's going to happen. Is he's going to become like Belle, like so attached to Kat, so that like when she used to go out for work, Belle would just wander about and be like, meow. And then I'll be like, I'll play with you, Belle. She's like, no, stay away from me.
Although he's not moved for a laser in about 30 seconds though. Oh, there he goes.
There he goes. Wonderful audio. Swan is interviewed and says, I gave you this gift of giving you the world title shot, Dreamer, and now I'm going to give you the gift of getting a new pair of teeth. As we move into the main event later on tonight. But first, TJP defends the X Division Championship against Rohit Raju.
I'm a bit sick of this rivalry now.
Me too.
It's literally been going since I started watching Impact again. It is quite literally the fucking Street Profits versus fucking Zelina's gang.
Yeah.
Mark 2. And it doesn't feel like it's over either.
Really? I felt like it kind of is now. Like, this was the definitive win that TJP could never get over Rohit. And so I'm kind of feeling like this has to be it now.
But on Impact, he was still going on about being X Division champion. Don't know if you've seen Impact yet, but...
No, I didn't actually have the time. I watched the worst episode of Dark today.
Well, I watched Impact today.
Okay, enlighten us.
And right, all it is it's a segment in a bar basically, where he's there with his big muscle guy whose name I can't remember.
Shira.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm supposed to be X Division champion. You're supposed to be the insurance to make sure I was X Division champion. Where were you? I'm still not X Division champion, and he was just going on and on and on about it. So then Shira went to walk away, and Rohit kind of grabbed him by the arm, and he turned round and pushed him, he fell back into someone, and the camera panned round, and he's backed into James Storm. So there's a wee hoot and a half between them, and eventually Rohit storms off, and Shiva and James Storm kind of go nose to nose over it. So even though he's just kind of pushed him, he's still kind of backing him up. So I don't think that match is happening yet. I think they're starting to tease it, but it sounds as if he's still going for the X Division title. But as they're like squaring off with each other, it gets broken up by who would be, I want to see if you can get this, who would be wandering around a bar trying to convince people to go to his place?
Matt Hardy?
No. Swing Daddy!
Nice.
So he kind of comes in between the two of them, then nothing happens, and he talks James Storm and Sabin into, is Sabin, yeah, into going to Spinger's Palace. And then there's a segment later on in the show where Sabin is drunk.
Yeah,
right? It's fucking brilliant, man. Sabin's drunk, and he's like to James Storm, he's like, this is the greatest place on earth. And Spinger's Palace, man, is brilliant.
Oh, that's always what I wanted ever since the start of this Sabin and Storm tag team was, like, back in the day when they were Storm was teaching Sabin how to drink, and it's like, oh come on, we need a drunk Sabin, while Storm is like, I've had like 12 whiskeys and 14 beers and I'm not even buzzed yet. And then he should have looked over and Sabin's like half a beer down and he's like, James, oh
yeah, that's basically what it's like. It's like Spider's like, come on, let's come to Spider's Palace, you're going to love it, Daddy, and all that. And they kind of look at each other, and Sabin's like, are we going? And he's like, I was quite happy to go home, or something like that, he says. And Sabin's like, let's go, man, I'm drunk. And then later on, they do the skit later on, and they're in there. And Sabin's just pure wide-eyed the whole way through it, and he's like, this place is awesome!
I really hope this is like maybe a new gimmick for Sabin.
Right.
And then maybe that could be a wrinkle for when Shelley comes back.
Yeah.
Like, he can maybe come back and can maybe turn heel and be like, dude, this isn't you. And it's like, well, so is he your best pal now? Well, you know, I leave for 5 minutes and all of a sudden you're getting drunk with this guy all the time. What about us in the tag team titles we never lost?
I would love to see them end up showing up at AEW and just random backstage segments drinking with Hangman. And then Matt Hardy having a pure meltdown about it because obviously Private Party are kind of in a feud with them.
Yeah.
But I think that'd be great. Like just the three of them, just drunk all the time.
That would be perfect. Like kind of like the two of them barge in, and then Hangman like pure goes nose to nose with James Storm, and it's this pure tense moment. And you're like, oh my god, James Storm versus Hangman Page, and they just go, another round, barkeep.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And it has potential happening. Let's do it. But anyway, we'll get into the X Division title match as we kind of alluded to. Rohit didn't win, so we can skip halfway through it to the end where TJP comes off the top rope, but Rohit dodges and then locks in a submission. P counters to the knee bar, then Rohit counters that into the crossface. Rohit manages to get a running knee for two, a very super close 2 count. It actually had me biting there for a second. Then the springboard DDT and the splash from TJP, who gets the win and retains the title. As I say, like at that point, I was like, "Oh well, there you go. TJP's has done it." Like, but I guess we'll kind of see if this does continue. If it does, then I really hope it is literally one more match. And in fact, you know what they could do? They could do the exact opposite of what they've done, where TJP's like, right, look, I will wrestle you one more time, and if you lose, you cannot challenge for the belt while I'm champion.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. But then that needs to be it, because I do agree with you, this is getting a bit, same.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick of it now. I just want it over. They might do something in Impact next week that kind of says that to put either one of them in something else. But based on this week's Impact, like Rohit still wants that belt. So
yeah. Well, we move on to Deonna Purrazzo, Kimberly, and Susan versus Jordan Grace, Jazz, and ODB. So Grace comes in with a dive on all three of her opponents. ODB comes out after, and then Jazz after that, all off the top rope one by one. Susan pokes Jazz in the eyes, and then Jazz accidentally pops Grace in the face while she was blinded. Kimber with a flip off the top rope, taking everyone out on the floor. And then in the ring, Jazz locks in the STF on Susan, who taps out. So Jazz getting the victory for her team. This was what it was, I suppose.
For me, yeah. Although I'm really obviously I like Su Yung to begin with, but I'm really liking this Susan incarnation of her. It's just again we're tapped to Impact, which you've not seen, so it's going to be another spoiler if you don't mind it. But
Okay, go for it.
basically, Diana Perrazzo said to Scott Demore, that she thinks that Kimberly and Susan should get a shot at the Knockouts tag titles.
Okay.
And Scott Demore's like that. Do you know what? That's one of the best ideas I've heard all day. I'm like, but do you know, that could be a great match, but do you know what would be better than one great match? Two great matches. Okay. And he's like, so how about we do this next week on Impact? Susan and Kimberly versus Jazz and Jordan Grace.
Uh-huh.
The winners are the number one contenders for titles.
Uh-huh.
And he's like, we'll do that. Then he walks away, and Diana Perrazzo's kind of a bit like, okay, that's not the worst outcome. It's there. Like, let's go for it. And like, but Susan's kind of just standing away from them, just kind of like, and then she walks away. And it's like, what the fuck, man? She's pure demented. It's great.
She's still very conflicted about everything. She must have some kind of plan, because she seems like that kind of person that always is like, I've got an idea, because that's how this six-woman tag came out to begin with. Was like, right, I've got this brilliant idea. It's like us three against these three at No Surrender. So she seems like this kind of person that has like all these ideas, and then none of them ever seem to work. So maybe she's got to pull out something during the match and be like, well, that failed.
Yeah.
Then she pouts and complains.
Yeah, I quite like her. But yeah, like you say, the match is what it is. It was a little bit of filler. It wasn't anything killer. See what I did there?
That's a podcast.
But yeah, it was okay for what it was.
It was fine, yeah. Then we get into the semi-main with the Good Brothers, Beer Gunny, and Private Party, going for the Impact Tag titles, and this was a bit shorter than I would have liked it to have been. So we'll go through the match quickly with Private Party with the silly string on Gallows. There was the Eye of the Storm on Quinn that gets a close 2 count, even though the Eye of the Storm looks like the least impactful move that I've ever seen in pro wrestling, other than maybe the Overdrive. Gallows introduces a chair to the match, and while the ref is distracted, Hardy hits a Twist of Fate on James Storm. Private Party hit the splash and the shooting star, but as Quinn was on the top rope, Gallows makes a blind tag. Gallows comes in, takes out Private Party and steals the pin for the Good Brothers to retain the championships by defeating Beer Gunny. So Private Party do kind of have a bit of a gripe here when it comes to their tag title shot. Like, they can then go on and complain that like this was meant to be team on team, and
1-on-1.
Yeah, the 2-on-2 even, whatever. And then you stuck them in at the last minute, and then they cost us the belts. So maybe this may not be over for Private Party and the Good Brothers.
Well. Now that you mention it,
there's another thing from Impact.
No, the paid ad on Impact kind of alluded to that.
Really?
Yeah.
Good tell.
Just basically, Tony Khan was talking about the tag title situation on AEW, and he's like, "Oh, and by the way, Good Brothers, that could be you that's going for the AEW tag team titles, but no, you have to keep getting involved in our matches. Therefore, you're not coming anywhere near our belts." So,
interesting.
Then he showed you the Private Party elimination for the Battle Royal, where Gallows pulled the rope down. So, yeah, interesting. I'll stop talking about Impact now that I know you haven't seen it.
No worries. Well, it's all little things, like, you know, if, like, there was a it's match results that I hate. I don't mind little things like, funny backstage segments and all that being spoiled, but it's match results that I hate.
Yeah, fair.
When it comes to spoilers. But so we move on to the main event. This was actually quite a decently built main event, considering that it was almost kind of a throwaway. But we go into the match, and there,
see, before we get into the match, can I just say?
Certainly.
I turned it off and went to bed.
Okay, so you've not seen this?
No, and I have no desire to see it. Even after watching Impact and they were talking about how great it was and all that, I have no desire to see a 50-year-old Tommy Dreamer that struggles to move versus a world champion that's Rich Swann. Like, I'm sorry, man. I've said it a million times. I just do not buy Rich Swann as a world champion, and I certainly don't buy Tommy Dreamer as a number one contender, a viable number one contender.
Fair.
And this whole, it's your birthday, so you get a title match. Fuck off, man.
I thought they always said in pro wrestling that nothing comes for free. This is pretty free. Yeah.
I don't want to go into too much here, because I've ranted about both these guys plenty before. But to me, this was just the tag title match was the main event to me. After that, off bed.
Fair, but I mean, you were never looking forward to this anyway. Like,
yeah, no, I know exactly.
This was definitely something that me and Robert were kind of discussing with the promo that was at the end of Impact, and I was kind of like, well, you know what, Dreamer, I do love Dreamer, and I kind of just want him to win the belt anyway because I'd like him a hell of a lot more than Rich Swann. Plus, fuck it, why not? Why not just give him it for a month and have him lose it again? But nevertheless. So we get into the match. Rich Swann defending the world title against Tommy Dreamer. Dreamer injures his hand early on in the match. I think he kind of went for a punch and then kind of collided with the ring post. So there was this point where like all the refs and like the doctors and all that came down. So I was like, did this actually happen here for a second? Dreamer then pops all his fingers back into place, and then the match continues. Dreamer spears Swann through the ropes to the floor. Then on the outside, Rich Swann hits a lethal injection from the ring ropes to Dreamer, still on the outside. Swann comes off the ropes and Dreamer hits a cutter for two. There was a Death Valley driver attempt, but that was countered. Swann locks on the armbar and starts to go for the fingies of Dreamer that were injured at the start of the match. Swann with a thrust kick, but misses the splash. Dreamer then goes for a cover, and Swann counters that to a crucifix. Dreamer gets a Death Valley driver and almost gets it off of that. Swann with another thrust kick and the Phoenix Splash to retain. And then Moose runs out, attacks both men, and then ends the pay-per-view holding up both sets of, both World Championships.
Right, so to harm back to my point at the start of the match that I had no interest in watching this, I now understand why they did it, because they got to have Moose come out and be the pure super heel here, right? So I understand why they did it.
Yep.
But for me, I believe Moose as a world champion.
Mm-hmm.
Not Rich Swann. And I understand why it was put together this way. I just think they could have done something different to get the same result.
He is kind of like the description that I made of Eric Young when he won the belt of from main event to main event. But, you know, Swann was probably on the only other show that was probably more irrelevant than main event, being 205 Live. So yeah. I suppose I can kind of give you that in that aspect. But again, this is that whole kind of thing of you kind of just jumping in and then just seeing Rich Swann be like, oh, I'm world champion now. Whereas obviously he was like kind of building up through Impact over the past, sort of 2 years he was there. But I mean that's all neither here nor there. It's like I'm not going to throw that whole "oh, well, you didn't watch the product" thing in your face. Like Because, I mean, like, any casual viewers would be like, oh man, Rich Swan's there, I remember him from WWE, let's watch. And then you'd be like, wait, he's world champion? Fuck, he could barely get on Raw when he was fucking cruiserweight champion.
Yeah. Exactly. I just do not buy Rich Swann as a world champion. Especially not this soon after his position in WWE. Like, I know there's probably going to be people out there that's going to go, oh, but what about Rusev? You don't buy him as a champion after his position in WWE. But the difference is, fucking Miro's an absolute fucking unit. That's the difference. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but also Miro's not anywhere near a world title right now.
I don't think he's far off one. I think Miro will be AEW champion within a year and a half.
Well, I mean, that's still
I'm giving myself the extra 6 months on that, just purely because Omega's the champion just now. He'll hold it for at least a year.
Yeah.
I
think he's holding it till a bit all out.
He'll drop it to the next big baby face, and then
Hangman.
Yeah, probably Hangman, and then Miro versus Hangman will be where Hangman drops it.
Yeah, I can see that.
In my opinion.
But I mean, again, that's that whole thing of like, I've been talking about Miro for a long time and talking about how I don't feel like he is like you all kind of like dance around the whole, oh yeah, like Miro could be world champion or that. It's like, yeah, but right now in this current iteration, no. But a year and a half is a long time, and it doesn't take that long to start building somebody up. So
yeah,
absolutely, like he could just. I mean, it's
the thing is though, if you look at let's look at the Rusev of 4 or 5 years ago, right? Could you believe he'd be WWE champion at the time? I'm talking about.
Right, 4 or 5 years ago, probably not.
Really, when he first came, not when he first came up, but like when he came out in the fucking tank and all that against John Cena and stuff, could you not look at that guy and go, he'll be a champion one day?
Oh right, yeah, okay, maybe about then. I think I was a wee bit further back there.
In fact, that was WrestleMania 31, wasn't it? That was about 5 years ago.
Fucking hell. Well, maybe it was 6 years ago. Tackle, shut up, buddy.
Yeah, so if that's how much potential he has when he's booked properly.
Yeah.
Right now he's in a position, because there's no point in throwing him in the title pictures just now when at the time he signed he still had the likes of Omega and all that sitting there waiting to get their fucking run.
Yeah.
Like there's no point in doing that at that point. I like what he's doing just now in AEW.
That's the kind of thing that I'm saying as well. Is like, I mean, I fully agree with that. He doesn't need to be just pushed to the moon right now. To the moon! He can sit in this stupid partnership with Kip Sabian and all that kind of bollocks, and it's like, but all you need to do to make him legit is for him to turn around and match kick Kip Sabian in the face. Boom. That's him. The races.
The way I see it is, see you're making a slap up meal, right?
Uh-huh.
And that wee first bit of steak that you finish for that meal, that goes in the oven at a nice low temperature just to keep it warm and ready to serve. That's Miro just now.
Yeah, so it's sitting there and you know it's coming soon.
Yeah.
And we're all excited for it.
Yeah. And then on the flip side you've got Rich Swann. It's like even if Rich Swann was that first bit of steak you put in the oven. There's a cat butt on the screen. There
sure is. Thankfully he's facing the opposite direction.
Oh, no, not now he isn't. No, he's okay.
No, well,
anyway. Even if Rich Swann was that first steak off the frying pan and into the oven, there's still going to be the same steak when it comes out. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Rich Swann is that kind of steak that you made when you forgot to clean the frying pan.
Yeah, or is that steak you got out of Iceland? Whereas Miro's that steak you got out the butchers. Do you know what I mean? There's far too many analogies in that there. But
a little bit. There's this butcher that I've always walked past when I'm cutting about Clyde Bank, and now that I'll be moving there soon, I might actually go in there one afternoon. and have a look at what they can give us. Obviously, when when all that sort of stuff is allowed open again. I don't know if butchers counts as frontline or whatever what you want to call it.
No, the butchers are open. The butchers below me is open every day.
All right.
I've been having rolls and sausage like a king. I wake up in the morning before work, I get ready, I go downstairs to the butcher's, I get 2 rolls and 2 square sausages up the road. About 11 o'clock I take a break from work, I make them, and I'm like, this is the life, man.
Sounds it.
Indeed. What I really should do is go down and buy a big fuck up, like the full loin, and just save myself it. I think for rolls anyway, so fuck it.
You can freeze that shit.
Yeah, totally. Right, shall we take a wee quick break and then come back and talk some next?
Well, we have one more thing to talk about.
Oh, okay.
After the pay-per-view went off the air, we got a commercial.
Yes.
About 2 new people from New Japan Pro Wrestling that will be making their Impact debuts. And I was like, oh my god, who's it going to be? And then, obviously, at the time, this was about 3-4 in the morning here. Taco, you really need to get off that piano. Jesus. He is really, wanting some attention right now.
Check your phone for that picture I just sent you. I said to you, put that on for 15 minutes, and then he's out like a light.
Yep.
Check your phone for that picture I just sent. I'll put it on the Facebook page.
It looks like he's been beaten to death or something. So this was quite late on the Saturday, so I couldn't really hear what was being said. So I just kind of needed to rely on the camera that was slowly panning up these 2 people, and then it was like, oh my god, who's it gonna be? And it's Finlay and just Robinson. Never mind.
It's still a pretty big get for Impact, though, to be fair.
It's definitely a big get, but Jesus, wait till, get me excited that it could be, fucking, I don't know, Phantasmo and Ishimori, or, fucking Gorillas of Destiny even, I would probably take, and I don't even like them. But it's it's Dave Finlay, who's alright, and CJ Parker. Yay.
Woohoo!
So that is No Surrender.
Yes. We'll talk about their venture on Impact on the main episode once you've actually seen Impact.
We shall do.
But anyway, let's take a very short break and we'll be back to talk about NXT.
Mr. Ponton, I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to. Can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
I can see that. I think if you click the up arrow next to this.
We're back. During a wee quick check of what we've recorded so far, I discovered a wee issue with my audio that's like this hissing sound, so apologies if it's still in the recording by the time this goes out. I'll take the shindig for that. I'm not exactly sure how it's happened. I think maybe my microphone was too close to my laptop, and I think it was interfering. Not 100% sure, but I guess we'll see.
You could have said something cool like, oh yeah, sorry for the hissing in the background. I have a snake.
Yeah. I reckon if I had a snake, it'd probably eat my fucking kitten, because he's a wee shite bag. He's out for the count though, right enough, as I said.
Wow, I really need to get one of these then. Just
honestly, man, the best $9.99 I've ever spent.
$9.99.
9.99.
Oh well, I need to invest in one of these. So send me that link after we're done, and I think that'll be a nice little present for them when we move into the new gaff when they've got the space to play with it.
Yeah. Yep, he goes mental for it. You saw him in the background earlier. He goes absolutely fucking nuts for it. And he gives me some peace. So
it is fun in that new room that you're in because I can see him running about more and it's more entertaining to see him living his life.
Absolutely.
Well, we are back in black, or back in golden black.
I say it's black and gold, but you know, it's a black and gold brand.
Even though it's yellow, but yeah. So, we start NXT TakeOver on the pre-show because someone shows up. So, let me talk to you.
The worst fucking name in the history of bad names, but we'll get there.
Disagree.
Okay, interesting.
But yeah, so the man formerly known as Eli
Drake
makes his NXT debut. And he comes in and he's already a man after my own heart because he tells that Sam guy to bugger off. And then he turned... Oh. Cat attack?
Yes. Check that, he's Drew Blood and everything.
Ah, yes, I remember Drew Blood.
Sorry, folks. My cat is a bastard. I love him,
yeah,
but he's a bastard.
Just as you were like, oh, he's out for the count, everything's fine. Oh my god, he's just attacked me.
I think what happened was I leaned back in my chair that made it go crack. I think that woke him up.
Oh.
But he's now hiding in the corner because I shouted ow.
Yeah, probably. You stay there, cat. So, the former Eli Drake comes in and turns around to Wade Barrett and says, "Oh, don't even look at me the wrong way, as I'll pull you out of retirement just to put you back in it." And then he says, "I've changed the game," and then he starts listing whoever's at the end of this thing is going to be North American champion or NXT champion. You better watch out because I'm coming for you. So this man will now be known as L.A. Knight. Your silence says it all.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite cheesy.
Well, he's always quite a cheesy character, to be honest.
I mean, why couldn't it have came out with a cool name like L. Ron Hubbard?
That one doesn't really...
Yeah, I managed to pick a worse name.
A little bit. Because, like, you know, he's like a kind of Hollywood kind of guy, so LA works. And it's like kind of like LA Knight, like, oh, an LA Knight where anything can happen, but it's night as in I'm a knight, a knight.
Yeah, yes. It might as well have been Gotham Knight. Very good video game if you haven't played it.
I don't get it.
What?
I know, Batman.
I was going to say, so I get that. Because if you don't get it, you've obviously not played the game, and you should play the game because it's fucking great.
I have not played the game, but that's a conversation for another time. Because we have about 1 billion different video games to get through right now. And seemingly all the time to do it because lockdown has been extended.
Yeah, it was extended a wee while ago, to be fair. But since we're talking about, you know what, I'm just going to say this on air because that means you're going to have to do it. See, since we're talking about like streaming, I think we should start doing like a turn and heel Twitch channel where we just play old wrestling games.
I like that idea.
And then we can maybe go on to other games for like wee fun nights where we're or just get drunk and playing games. But yeah, old wrestling games.
This is where we need to break out the Mario Kart drinking game.
Yes.
So the Mario Kart drinking game, if you don't know, is you have to you've got a full drink. So this probably would work better with, like, say, cans of beer or cider, unless you want to go really hardcore and make a big glass of vodka and juice,
Or gin and juice.
or gin and juice, exactly.
Keep it
or a
topical.
Or
Or a little bit of the bubbly. Oh,
Nice
I've
big-
got a bottle of bubbly in the fridge. Actually, I might crack it open.
Well, we will get more of them. That's what I was going to say. I mean, I'm sure obviously Robert will give us the extra listen this week by listening to this. So I think that's what we need to do for the person that loses, as in comes third in this tournament thing that we're doing, buys the bubbly for the first time that the three amigos of the Turn and Heel podcast get back together for a pay-per-view / recording. Don't know what I suppose the winner gets that, but it'd be like, so I mean, it's something like kind of small, like buying 3 bottles of bubbly. That's about what, 20 quid, give or take. It's not a massive thing. And I guess like that technically would mean like 1 and 2 both win by just having the luxury of not having to buy it.
Yeah.
Oh no, okay, that's it. The person in third place needs to buy the bottles of the bubbly. The person that comes in second place needs to buy the orange juice.
The fridge that I've got for the new studio has got 5 slots on it for bottles. So
Okay.
I'm going to constantly have 5 bottles of bubbly in there.
Nice. In a big rotation.
Yep, basically. Much like my beers in rotation for like my kegs of beer.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
sorry, just before we go back at wrestling, this is how sad I am. Do you know what I spent my night yesterday doing?
Masturbating.
Nope, well, I did that, but I created a spreadsheet of all the kegs of beer I have and the date that they expire.
Okay.
To save me having to check every keg looking for which one's going to go out of date soon, I now just have to check my spreadsheet and I know which one I'm pulling out the cupboard.
Not actually a bad idea, even though it is sad that you have enough in your flat that you are able to fill out a spreadsheet with it.
Hey man, you've seen those pile of kegs I've got.
Oh, dear.
They're now moved into a cupboard and out of the way. And they're in the cupboard in date order. So now I just need to pull them out one by one. But if whoever's about to come up, I'm like, I'm not sure I fancy that. I can check the spreadsheet and see what else I've got.
Yeah, and then just be like, well, we need to have this within the next 6 months or whatever. So it's like, yeah, we can get back to that at some point.
I've also got a full on home brew kit arriving tomorrow that I bought, which is enough to brew 45 pints of cider at a time.
Yeah, boy. How long would that take?
About a month.
Yeah.
Per batch. The first one you need to wait a month, but see if you are restocking and rebrewing, you'll never run out.
Okay. So let's see, a month from now will be...
Just coming up for Mania.
Ah, there you go. That could be a nice, home warming present.
To be fair, the only issue is I need to fill it up with 25 litres of water. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to do that without basically brewing it in the kitchen. Because after I fill the fucking container up, it's going to be a bastard to carry anywhere else.
Do it in shifts.
I'm contemplating buying a fucking hose. Like a garden hose. Sees. And connecting it to the sink. And then just running a hose from the sink to fill it up in whichever room I want to fill it up in.
I mean, it does sound ridiculous, but
It's actually a good idea.
it would be a hell of a lot easier for you to do that than to fill up a massive bucket of water and lug it back and forth like you're in fucking Mickey Mouse and Fantasia. There's a reference.
Yeah.
Oh
my God. If our live stream idea happens, right, we can all try the cider live.
Ooh. And then that's the cider we use to play drunk Mario. Which we never did.
No, I was talking about our Turning Heel first ever live stream show idea, which I'm not saying what it is in case it doesn't happen, but the ciders would be ready for that.
Okay, sounds good. And hopefully, maybe lockdown will be taken down a bit so we can actually start hanging about together.
I doubt it by then, but we'll see. Anyway, let's get into NXT.
Okay, quickly. Drinking Mario Kart, you're not allowed to drink and drive, so what you have to do is you need to try and win the race. However, you also need to finish your drink by the time the third lap comes. So it's a case of you've got 3 laps, and you've got your can or your beverage of choice. So what you need to do is pull over at the side of the road because you don't want to be blocking traffic, and then you need to drink your can. So you can either just pull over the side of the road at the beginning of the thing, just full throttle down your can, and then boom, you're off to the races, no pun intended. Or you can take your time throughout the race and then kind of make pit stops, kind of do it that way. But obviously, you're going to be doing this as a Grand Prix, so 4 races in a row. So you down in 4 cans or beverages in a short space of time will start to very much interfere with your sight and your reactions kind of quickly. So, it's a risky game. Drinking Mario Kart.
Yep, absolutely.
Or even we could try and implement it into Crash Team Racing as well.
It's basically, you could do it the same sort of idea if you've got Crash Team Racing. Anyway, let's talk about that later.
But yes, nevertheless, so that's something for you to try this weekend. So we kickstart the NXT Takeover card with Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon taking on Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez in the finals of the Women's Dusty Classic.
I was actually quite surprised this was on first. I thought they'd have done this last, just purely because it was the first time ever. Do you know what I mean? Not main event. I just mean last of the 2 finals. Mm-hmm. But it was also a good wee starter. I remember I was watching it on Monday morning, very incredibly hungover. I did mention I watched No Surrender steaming. I basically drank from Saturday afternoon all the way through till about 9-10 o'clock on Sunday night, with the exception of a 3-hour sleep I got when I went to bed when Rich Swan and Tommy Dreamer was on.
Why do you do this to yourself, sir?
I don't know why I do it to myself, man. I really don't know, but
yeah, you're getting that little bar in your place as being a blessing and a curse by the sounds of things.
Actually, I didn't touch the bar, to be fair. Hey, I am the bar. I was drinking cans of Tennent's just the whole way through because I'm an idiot. And I've actually forgot the point of that story. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was sitting watching the start of Takeover, pure hanging at like 9 o'clock on Monday morning. And Dakota Kai came out and like done her mad pose. And I was like, I'm actually really psyched for this. Like, I was like, I could not be arsed even being awake, never mind fucking watching anything. And then like, she came out and she done her mad pose, the music was playing, and I was like, yeah, here we fucking go. Like, it actually kind of brought me up a level. So maybe that's why they done it first, because it's like, it was like going to be the first ever female Dusty Cup winner. So it did fucking give me a wee kick up the arse. So maybe that's what it was. But
Or maybe Dakota Kai just gave you feelings.
nah, I'm actually not a huge. Probably not. God damn it! I'm really going to fucking dig a hole for myself here, aren't I?
Right, here we go. Here's a spade. Let's go.
I don't fancy Dakota Kai. All right, it's allowed.
I mean, yeah, okay, fair enough. Everyone's entitled to your
I
opinion.
actually couldn't tell you the reason I don't. I just don't.
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, even if it is wrong.
Shh.
Yeah. So, we start off the match with Ember tags in Shotzi at one point, but Gonzalez distracts the referee. So, Ember comes back to the ring, and then, Jesus fucking Christ. You really nailed your mute button, man.
Sorry, man.
Jesus. There you go. Beautiful. Music to my ears when you don't have to listen to Chris.
My fridge is literally about 3 inches out of my reach, so I have to put the chair over to get it. But I'm getting a new chair tomorrow, so hopefully the new chair will be quieter.
One would hope. What are you doing with your old chair?
Keeping it.
Oh, really? Damn it.
Well, I now have 2 computer rooms, basically. I've got my own bedroom and this room, so I need 2 chairs. Otherwise, I'm rolling this chair back and forward all the time.
Yeah,
and
do that.
And I really hope no one from my work listens to this podcast, because I got my work to pay for my second chair.
Yeah, what you should do is you should give someone close to you the other chair.
Oh, because I need 2. That's the point of having 2.
No. Right, so we'll start again there. So there was one point where Ember was in the ring. She with Kai for quite a while. She tags in Shotzi, but Gonzalez distracts the referee. So Shotzi's in the ring, and the ref's like, "Oh, whoa, you didn't tag in," and it's like, "Yeah, I did." So Shotzi gets back in the ring. Then Ember climbs back into the ring. Instead of just tagging Shotzi to come back into the ring and continue the assault, she argues with the ref for what seems like an eternity, and then finally tags in Shotzi. So Kai almost got to her corner, and so they managed to pull her back and keep her Kai being the person they're beating down. Shotzi gets dropped on the barricade on the outside as Ember tries to fight off both Gonzalez and Kai. Ember hits the Eclipse on Gonzalez, but Kai in the ring, distracting the ref. Eventually, she gets out. The ref starts the count, but only gets 2 as Gonzalez had enough time to recover. Gonzalez goes for the chokeslam, but Shotzi comes back with a dropkick from the top. And then a TKO onto the knee by Shotzi on Kai for a 2-count. There's a Shotzi bread number 2 that gets countered by Gonzalez.
Whoa. Is that move called Shotzi bread?
No, that's what I named it, because it's a sliced bread.
Ah, okay. I was like, oh my god, that's the best name ever. For those of you that aren't Scottish, shortbread is an incredibly nice cake that Scottish people make. So I was kind of like, shortbread, Shotzi bread.
It's more of a biscuit than a...
Okay, yeah, biscuit, fair play.
Yeah.
Either way, it's tasty as fuck. I actually was in Aldi the other day and I bought 3 packets of shortbread.
Why were they discounted? Because nobody buys shortbread other than New Year's?
No, they weren't. They were as full price as fucking Aldi can be. They were like 45 pence a bag.
Oh, stinger there, Jesus.
Oh yeah, totally worth it though. It's the best £1.30 I've ever spent. The cup of tea when I was working earlier with a bit of shortbread, dipping it in my tea. And I'm like, this is the way forward.
Yeah. Just a nice sugary biscuit.
Just need Aldi to start selling tablet and I'll be happy as fuck.
Tablet is pretty good. Although, like, there's only so much of that.
Yeah, it really is. You can only have like a slice of it.
Yeah.
Which I think's why it's good, because you can't go overboard on it, because you can literally only have a slice. And that's enough.
Otherwise,
shortbread,
sickening.
Shortbread, I could eat a full packet in one sitting, probably. Mm-hmm. But tablet, not so much. Anyway, I'm digressing again.
It's like that in Jaffa cakes. fucking Jaffa cakes, you get 10 in a pack, and it's like sometimes that's not enough. So you need to get one of those big ones that's about yay long that they only seem to sell around Christmas time. And so some would think, oh man, that's too much, but it's like I look at it and go, that's a challenge. It's brutal. But yes, the Shotzi bread number 2. I have lost my place. There it is. Shotzi bread number 2 was countered by Gonzalez with Shotzi being placed on top. Shotzi manages to kind of still hit the move, but almost lands on her head again, which Shotzi, like, I love you. Stop landing on your sweet little head. And it's always from the same move. It's always from this kind of sliced bread number 2 that she goes for. And it's terrifying every time she does it. Shotzi then hits a dive to the outside on Kai, and then there's a double team ending in a red alert for 2. There's an electric chair cross-body combo by, I put them down as Black Moon, to Kai on the outside. Ember with a crossface style submission, but gets broken up by Kai. And then there's a flipping backstabber for 2 by Kai onto Shotzi. There's an assisted GTK double team by Kai Zalaz. So yeah, give them both tag team names. Gonzo sets Ember up to on the ramp. That's level with the ring, and then plants her on the ramp, and then sends her off said ramp. Shotzi sends Gonzalez to the outside, and then sends Kai over the top rope on top of her. Shotzi to the top, but shoved off by Gonzalez. Gonzalez uses Kai to hit a splash, then the choke slam by Gonzalez, and it is done. Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai have won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, and conspicuous by what you may believe, I say correct decision.
I agree with you. I was very much on the Ember and Shotzi bandwagon as well, but I feel that Sakai and Gonzalez haven't really had any sort of big accomplishment in NXT yet, despite the fact they've been a team for so long. So it's good to see them get that, because it's not like, obviously Kai's the leader and Kai's the who's going to be the breakout from the back of it, probably, who knows.
Do you mean Raquel?
No, I think Dakota Kai.
Yeah, I should. Oh, right. Okay.
I think Dakota Kai's going to be the... If you have to put the two of them in front of me, say which one of them is going to win the women's title first, I'd say Dakota Kai. But
interesting.
So it's good to see them get that big win and be moving towards something now.
Yeah.
And plus, as well, because they've got Gonzalez there, could be a viable threat to Baszler and Jax.
Yeah. And see, if you ask me, I think give them the belts. Because not only that are you making history by having the first ever tag team in NXT winning the women's tag titles, but you have kind of an actual established tag team, whereas Baszler and Nia Jax were literally thrown together. And now it's just, oh, they're a tag team now? And it's like, okay, why did they come together?
Well, see, I've said this before on the podcast. That's what really bugs me about the women's tag division, is they do, fairly recently, they've just thrown random tag teams together, and I hate the fact that they were putting the tag titles on either one of the champions as well, like the singles champions. It's kind of like that defeats the purpose of the tag belts. The tag belt should be to get another 4 women on the pay-per-view.
Yeah, totally.
Do you know what I mean? It totally defeats the purpose.
And at this point, you know, the only women's tag teams that are actually women's tag teams are in NXT right now. So why not give it to an actual established tag team a little, and then let that be a thing? So, you know, Kai and Gonzalez could appear on Raw and SmackDown and all that. Like, they can start making a name for themselves, and it wouldn't be exactly be a call-up, essentially.
Yeah. Like, I get what you mean. I wouldn't say they're exclusively on NXT. There is still some female tag teams on the main roster. At least on Raw, there is.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Riot Squad.
And I mean, by established, I don't mean they've been together for a million years. I just mean that they've done some matches that haven't involved the women's tag titles and are still there, like the likes of Mandy Rose and
Dana.
You've got Lacey Evans and Peyton as well.
No, they don't count. They were just thrown together.
But they've still done at least a handful of matches together on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah,
most tag teams start by being thrown together. It's when they get thrown together and go straight on to win the belts that annoys me. Do you get what I mean? Like, or am I talking shite?
Well, this is the kind of thing that I'll disagree with you with here, is purely because they split up the Iconics for no real reason, only to put Peyton Royce back in a tag team. It makes absolutely no sense.
And technically, Billie Kay trying to get back in a tag team because she's trying to get in the Riot Squad.
Yeah, but then she's conflicted and then trying to be like pals with Natalia and pals with Tamina and then pals with the Riot Squad, and then, as you've seen in the Rumble, tried to be pals with fucking Jillian, and it's like, I don't know, bring Jillian back and make them a tag team, because I would be all hilarious.
For that. See that brief moment,
Jillian and her bad singing at
that brief moment they were in the Royal Rumble was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
As a team, like, I'm all for that.
Plus, like, it'd be that kind of thing. It was like, right, if Jillian doesn't really want to do like singles matches, well, good. That's why you're a part of a tag team, so you don't really need to do very much. So if you haven't wrestled in however many years, you're part of a tag team. So, you know, like your kind of weaknesses will be covered by like just tagging in Billie Kay, and Billie and Jilly could like be hilarious. Like, just you can still work with the whole on the front headshot, on the back resume, but then it'd just be the two of them on the front, and then on the back of their resumes.
Yeah, no, but they could even just do like Jillian, just kind of like, well, I'm kind of retired, but I like you, and I'll help you get a spot. So yeah, I'll be your tag team partner for a while.
Yeah,
to help you get to take that step up. Yeah, buddy.
But I don't know, why not? Like, because I mean, it was good to see Jillian, and she could still go to an extent, so why not, honestly?
Yeah, I'm not against it.
Yeah, I just hate that, like, I've always kind of been this way when it comes to tag wrestling in general, male, female, anything else in between, I just hate blank and blank are the tag team champions, and it's like, no. Like, Evolve back in their very, very beginning, obviously they kind of stepped away from this as time went on, but when they started, Evolve were like, right, this is how we're going to do the tag division. Nobody in the tag division is just going to be blank and blank. Everybody in the tag division is going to have a tag team name. It's going to be da-da-da and Doodly Dee, and this is their tag team name. They're the Shumagumbas, and then there. So, like, that's how like I see tag team wrestling. So like in AEW, like, as much as I did like Omega and Hangman as like champions, like, see if they came up with like a creative name or something, that would have been cool. And the way like every other tag champions in AEW other than Omega and Hangman have been established tag teams that have established tag team names as like a group. You know, you had SCU, you had FTR, you have the Young Bucks, then you've got like Dark Order, whatever combination of them that you want to put together, they're the Dark Order, Jurassic Express, like Private Party, TH2, like every tag team seems to have a tag team name, and that's the thing that I think like WWE is missing in general. Like, for example, what happens if they just decided like Mercedes Martinez came back to Raw and just all of a sudden was with Retribution again? Like, that would be cool. That means Mia and Mercedes could go on to try and win the tag team titles under the Retribution banner.
Yeah, totally.
But it's the way now that, like, literally I can think of one tag team in the women's tag division that has a faction name, and it's the Riot Squad. And it doesn't even really make sense now because it's the Riot Squad of two people.
I totally get what you mean. Like, I don't think every tag team has to have a tag team name, but I think they have to at least be a little bit established. Like, see, to be honest with you, right? See, to harken back to your point about Omega and Hangman, right? When you've got two names as big as Kenny Omega and Hangman Page in a tag team, do you really want to give them a gimmick tag team name?
I mean, yeah, I feel like there are special times where that argument can be dropped. And I guess, like, probably Kenny and Hangman would be one of them. But even if they just had, like, a conversation of, like, oh, well, we're a tag team now, should we get a tag team name? And then they could rifle off a bunch of rotten tag team names, like, oh, we could be the Mega Hangmen, or the Omega Cowboys, or something like that. And then they can kind of be like, maybe we don't need a tag team name. And then it's like, at least, like, you know, you tried.
There's a few tag teams throughout the last few years that I haven't realised who the members were. Prime example, Time Splitters. I'd heard the name the Time Splitters a million times, but I didn't actually know who the Time Splitters were until, obviously, started properly watching New Japan. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think throwing a tag team name together when you've got, like, two legit stars, like both of them, it just seems silly. Unless it's very obvious it's them. Like the Rock and Sock connection. You just need to hear that and go, oh, that's the Rock and Mick Foley. Like, unless it's very obvious who it is. Because see, if you're like a casual fan, let's say you're a fan that watched, that didn't like WWE, liked the Japanese style of wrestling, watched New Japan for a while and then you kind of fell away from it and you're like, oh, there's this AEW thing, who's on that? And you look at the card and you're missing Omega and Hangman because they're called fucking, I don't know, Knots and Crosses or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think that in terms of pulling in your casual fan, I think it's very naive to take their name off the card, if you know what I mean. Their names off the card.
That would also be that kind of promotional thing then of like, okay, well, you know, be like, Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega, the Knots and Crosses.
In fact, here's a better way to put it. Let's say you had never watched New Japan, right? Mm-hmm. And you were a WWE guy, but you've heard of the big New Japan guys because you can't help but hear about them. You've heard of like your Okadas and your Omegas because Dave Meltzer was going on about Okada versus Omega for how long? Yeah. So then you're like, I'm going to check out this AEW show, but I don't think I know anyone on the card. And you look at it and you go like, oh yeah, Dean Ambrose. All right, okay, cool.
I wouldn't name it.
And then, yeah. But then you completely overlook, like, say, a Kenny Omega, who you might have never seen, but I've heard so much about because he's there under a tag team name on the card. I mean, how often do you see a tag team name as the tag team name and then the two individual wrestlers? Unless it's kind of put that way, like Hawk and Animal, the Legion of Doom. You might see that, right? Mm-hmm. But you never saw the New Age Outlaws as Road Dogg and Billy Gunn. The New Age Outlaws, it's always just the New Age Outlaws. You have to structure that in a very particular way to get it to work.
I know, but like I feel like this is also a different argument because of the kind of realm of wrestling that we live in these days, where everything is easily accessible on the internet. So if you're running down an AEW card when you've never seen an AEW card before, and that is Taco's asshole right in the camera, he's right back to like. I went to the bathroom there for a brief second, and he's seen me, and he's like, "Oh man, I remember you," and now he's following me again. But like, anyway, back to the point. This day and age, all this information is at your fingertips. Like, see, back in the day, yeah, like, oh, Hawk, Animal, Legion of Doom, like, you know who they are. But, like, if you're running down an AEW card and you've never seen anything in your life, and say you see fucking Team Knots and Crosses, like, you're going to Google Knots and Crosses AEW, and then it's going like, oh, Knots and Crosses, the team of Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. And it's like, oh, that's those two.
Well, are you, though? I'm not sure I would. If I'm thinking about watching a show, I'm not saying that it's different. If I was 100%, I am going to watch this show. But if I'm thinking, I'll come a bit bored tonight, what's on? Oh, AEW's on. I've never really watched that before. What's on it? And I do a quick Google. If I do a skim of that card and I'm like, I don't recognise anyone there, chances are I'm not going to watch it. If I'm a casual fan, if you're a die-hard fan, yes, you might do that. You might. If you're a die-hard wrestling fan, you might be like, oh yeah, let's check who all these people are. But if you're a casual fan that's, for lack of a better term, looking for a Hulk Hogan or something like that on the card, do you know what I mean? Like, a casual fan knows who Kenny Omega is, even if they've never seen a Kenny Omega match. Mm-hmm. So they say the name Kenny Omega on that card and they go, I've heard of him, but I've never actually seen anything. I am going to watch this. But if they look at that card and they don't see a Kenny Omega there, they don't see anyone else that they recognise, they're going to be like, well, I'll just leave it. I'll play the PlayStation instead.
Mm. All fair arguments from both sides, I would say.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. I don't think you're wrong, but I also don't think I'm wrong. I think it really depends on this fictional fan that's deciding whether or not he's going to watch an AEW show.
And you know what? She's saying all this kind of irrelevant considering the fact that Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez don't even have a tag team name.
Yeah, that was my point. They don't have to have a tag team name. I don't think having a tag team name makes you a proper tag team.
I know, but I guess like kind of this whole stemmed from the whole when you just throw two people together, like that doesn't instantly make them a tag team. Like, sorry, I've got fucking cat hair in my face because he keeps wandering in front of my face. Like for example, right now, I don't consider.
Fergo's just found his balls that's got, not his actual balls, his balls have got bells in them, so if you hear some jingling behind me, that's what it is.
We're really having cat problems today. That's the name of our episode.
Cat problems.
Cat problems featuring No Surrender and NXT TakeOver. But, God damn it, I forgot my point now. It's that whole thing where it's like, I wouldn't consider like Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon to be like a full-fledged tag team now. Like maybe if they continue being a tag team for like, the next 2-3 months or something like that, then it's like, okay, well, they're sticking with this tag team thing, blah, blah, blah. But it's just, I think more so like the kind of argument I was wanting to make and just kind of getting round to now is, I feel like you seem like more established if you come in with a tag team name. Like the Iconics, since day one, they were the Iconics. Everybody knew Billy Kay, Peyton Royce, Iconics. And I just feel like it just adds that little extra level of legitimacy to them because, right, well, we're a tag team. Here's our tag team name. This is what we're all about. This is our gimmick, yada, yada.
Yeah,
and now Bell's joined the fucking party.
I don't disagree with that at all. Like, I just my point of that discussion was I don't feel that you have to have a tag team name to be a tag team, which is like kind of what you were saying there. Really, I don't think that's.
I think it's a big part of it though. Like, I mean, again, obviously, as I said, there are exceptions, and I can understand sometimes, like, again, like as you kind of say when you bring up the whole Kenny Omega and Hangman Page thing, like, yeah, okay, like that's a good example as to why they're not every time team needs a name.
Or if you want to think back to early 2000s WWE, you'd Edge and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, like, I mean that was a thrown together tag team, and then they won the belts. So this is you know what, this is something we could probably just do an entire episode on if we really wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also depends on who's in said thrown together tag team.
Yeah.
Because Nia and Shayna were a thrown together tag team.
Yeah.
Asuka and Charlotte were. So that's the last. Actually, the last 3 women's tag title reigns have been thrown together teams.
Yeah, and then at least like the tag team before that was Bayley and Sasha. I mean, they were established as a tag team before, they did have a tag team name around the original run, even if it was bad. But thank fuck they didn't bring that back the second time around. But
Yeah. And then before that, I'm sure it was Carrie and Asuka, wasn't it?
yeah, the Kabuki Warriors, they had
Yeah.
a team name.
Which is fine. Like, team names work, but I just don't think it's necessarily a requirement.
Yeah, maybe not as much, but like again, it's just that whole kind of thing of the argument of, I don't know, if you're a wrestling fan that's interested in things, it's very easy to find out members of a tag team these days. Oh my god, now Belle's on the fucking desk. I'm fucking sick of this. Right. Anyway, that was a very long-winded argument about things.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, I'm going to try and decat this place as I run down the next match. And considering the fact that you brought up the Time Splitters, one half of the former Time Splitters, Kushida, was in action next as he took on Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship.
Match of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yep, I really enjoyed this. Granted, my opinion might be a little bit skewed.
Good.
Yeah, for the fact that obviously I watched this on Monday morning whilst I was working, and something pretty major came in just about 10 minutes before the main event started. So during the main event, I had to do quite a considerable amount of work whilst having it on in the background. So that might be why I'm like, this was match of the night. So didn't really see the main event. But yeah, to me, this was match of the night. I absolutely loved it, start to finish. Thought it was great. And going into the match, I was kind of like, yeah, Johnny Gargano's retaining. But as the match went on, I started to believe, and I think I'll love the Kushida might pull it off, and he came very close a few times. And to me, this match was an absolute minimum an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was great.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. This match was awesome, and yeah, I probably would actually argue that this was the match of the night, but it was not the match that I was the most looking forward to. We'll get to that match, and how kind of said match actually kind of was disappointing in a way. But anyway, we can get onto that when we get to that. So give us vodka for the working man. Delish. Vodka and tropical juice today.
Oh, that actually sounds really tasty.
Yeah, it's like I always started with the vodka and orange juice. Now I'm just getting a bit sick of orange juice, so I'm trying to find other fruit juices that are variants. Like, I've been drinking a lot more vodka and apple juice recently, just trying to stay away from orange.
Do you know what you should do? See next time we hang out, because we don't know when that would be. You should bring some tropical juice for our mimosas.
Ooh, tropical mimosas. Interesting. I'll keep that one on the old back burner for whenever we next hang out. So, right, okay, so I do have a bit of a question before we actually get into this. I don't seem to remember Kushida being as submission-based as he is now. Like, do you think that maybe he's getting a wee bit older and he's trying to change the style that he used to do? Because I seem to remember him being quite the flippy boy in New Japan, but also was quite versed in the submission game as well, but like the sort of flippy game used to be his kind of bag. Do you think this is like something that WWE maybe told him to do, or something that he's decided to do to try and not be as not as high risk, so that, because obviously if he's now wrestling every week as opposed to in New Japan where you would kind of get like periods of time off in between like long runs of shows and sort of that stuff, like what do you think?
I would like to think he's something that he started doing himself in order to advance his character over anything else, just to change things up a bit.
Because this current run that he's in now is definitely very submission based, and I don't know if it's maybe because of like the kind of broken arm that he got in that match with Walter like last year, or was it the year before? I think it was the year before, or very early last year. One of the two. It was like the recent injury that he got with Walter, where he like really badly fucked up his arm. It seemed as if he kind of changed from there. I mean, granted, he still does the flip off the top that goes into the armbar, so like that's still there. But I don't know. It was just an observation. It's not like a critique. It's like, he used to be flippier and now he doesn't do that anymore. But I digress. So
I think if maybe on the main roster, if he was on the main roster as being a flippy guy, then stop being a flippy guy, it might be more of an issue because it's not a very well done style on the main roster.
Yeah,
really. But I think in NXT, there's plenty of other flippy guys to fill that void. Like he's not
totally
missed as a flippy guy. Do you know what I mean?
And as I say, he does work with this new kind of meaner, grittier kind of character that he has now. Like, he is more up for, I'm going to break your arm to take that belt from you, or...
Yeah.
Like,
I think he's very tweeny just now. I think he could float between feuds against heel and faces and just adapt to that particular role without ever actually turning either way. Very like CM Punk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree with that because I'm pretty sure when he started this new sort of character for, I mean, I don't know if it's a character exactly, but whatever we'll call it that for lack of a better term.
Kushida.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's exactly what they say in commentary all the time in this sport of professional wrestling.
See if I could fucking punch a screen, I would punch you square in the fucking face, but I just spent nearly £400 on this fucking computer, so I'm not going to punch you in the face.
Nice. But yeah, like, so, but he kind of turned on somebody I'm pretty sure was a face to begin with. So there was this kind of period where Kushida was meant to be kind of a heel, and then he went into that feud with Velveteen Dream, and everybody's like, wait, these are both heels? Like, who are we supposed to support? Well, I guess we'll support Kushida because Velveteen Dream has returned and has became shit all of a sudden.
Like, that seems to be a thing that particularly in NXT they're kind of trying to push now. Because the whole scenario reminded me very much of Finn Balor's Prince turn.
Mm-hmm.
Where it seemed very heely, but in the first opportunity to be a face, he was a face again. And,
yeah, it's
I think if he wrestles a face for the NXT title, he'll be portrayed as the heel.
Which kind of was when he
without
Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah, without actually changing anything that he's doing, because he's just sitting in that really happy middle. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what they're doing with Kushida as well. Like they're making him very flexible in how they can book him, which I don't think necessarily think's a bad thing. Like, see, unless someone is exceptional at either heel or face, why bog them down to one?
Yeah.
Ciampa's probably in the same boat as well. Because he's okay. He's been face for the last few months, absolutely, but he's not exactly super face. Like, put Ciampa against Kyle O'Reilly just now, and Ciampa would be the heel without changing anything. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
he would just be that little dirtier of the two.
Yeah, like without really changing anything that he's doing, because he's just that happy middle. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a good cluster of wrestlers that are like that you can. It's basically the best way to describe it. It's not like the Big Show, where it's clear face, clear heel. You just change all the time. Leave it that happy middle and just book them as required.
Exactly, because then that's that perfect way where, you know, it's all about perception. If you like this guy and he's beating up on another good guy, that doesn't exactly make him a heel. That just makes him doing his own thing. Because I mean, look at the the match is happening on Wednesday with Santos Escobar and Killer Cross. Killer Cross is definitely,
A heel.
more distinctly on the heel side than anything else, but he's against another heel. But, Escobar has done him wrong, so people will probably side with Cross over Escobar.
But the thing is, so they've brought Cross back again in that kind of middle ground. What I think. In fact, actually, I think they did it with Damien Priest as well. When you think back to the matches he had in NXT,
100%, aye. No, I'm completely agreeing with you in that aspect.
I actually think it's a very forward-thinking way to book people, because it makes it more realistic when you can sympathise with the bad guy based on his gripes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where it's not just the guy coming out going, "Oh, all you fat wrestling fans hate me." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
look at me, I'm so rich and evil. Get it? I'm evil. Look, I'm laughing like an evil person. I'm a bad guy.
To be fair, he kind of just described Cameron Grimes, but not the point.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's a comedy heel though. Like,
I know. It was a joke, Chris. It was a joke.
I know. But even then, again, that's that whole kind of thing of like, you love him because he's a big goofy idiot, but you always do want to see him get his butt kicked because it's funny.
Yeah, like I don't think there's anything wrong with booking wrestlers like that. In fact, actually, I would prefer they almost exclusively book their shows based on that.
No, like
I
completely agree.
A wrestler has his principles, and that's his principles. And his principles might be more lovable compared to the guy's wrestling's principles. But the next month, maybe wrestling someone else, where you're like, "Nah, I agree with that guy," and then it flips without it ever being an obvious heel or face. I quite like that idea.
No, again, like that's what I mean. Like when it comes to Karrion Kross, like, he's definitely still like a complete heel, but he's wrestling another heel, so that kind of makes him a kind of pseudo babyface because he's more liked. Because pedigree does come into that kind of thing, and not the wrestling move. But it's that whole thing of, yeah, well, you know what, like, Karrion Kross didn't pick this fight. Santos Escobar picked this fight, and so when Escobar sends his goons to go and beat the crap out of Karrion Kross, and then he handles his business and beats the shit out of them, like, you're kind of like, well, you know what? He did exactly what any person would do, and is try and handle his business. He got called out, and he's now like, right, well, if we're going to do this, let's do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's a bad way to book people.
No,
gives you so much flexibility.
And then it's that kind of thing where, like, as you kind of says with wrestlers, yeah, they could be more of a heel 1 month, and then as soon as that program's over, they can kind of switch and kind of become the face in the next feud.
It totally protects you from booking yourself into a corner as well.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
there's always the out of the fact that they could then feud with someone else on basically more or less the same principle. It's just wrestler 1 and wrestler 2's principles just don't align, and that's enough to make a feud.
Yep. A pig and an elephant DNA just won't splice.
And again, like as you've said, Karrion Kross and Santos Escobar is a prime example of that.
Yeah, it's
in fact, actually, we're going to get to another example of that, of a particular wrestler that was telling us something for months and months and months that turned out to be true.
Okay.
But we'll get there at the end of the show.
Yes. Okay. And then, like, one more very quick example is Dexter Lumis. He totally came in as a heel, but is now kind of turned into this kind of weird tweener babyface kind of thing.
Without changing anything.
Without doing anything. It was just kind of the people he targeted was just, a bit different.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on, because we've ranted that for a while.
Nevertheless, exactly, and that's what makes us us.
Totally.
So there was a series of roll-up counters from both men, and then that ended with both men hitting the clotheslines at the same time. And Kushida stomps the neck of Johnny Gargano with the arm stretched behind his back, and then Shida with a German and a drop kick, just a regular kick to the back for a close 2 count. Shida catches Gargano's diving spear and flips him into the ring with a DDT and then into a German for 2. Gargano with a kick and then attempts his diving DDT, but Shida with a shot to the face and then drives the shoulder. Shida with a shot to the face, then drives the shoulder Shida had been working on into the turnbuckle. This is the thing sometimes when I take my notes, they don't even make sense to me. That did make sense if I continued reading. Shida with a springboard kick and sets Gargano up for the flipping armbar, but Gargano gets a twisting suplex that looked fucking badass and a springboard DDT for 2. Both counter each other's tries to lock in the Gargano escape and the armbar, respectively. They just keep bouncing over each other one after another. Like this is another like really cool spot. Both hit the double clothesline again and both go down. There's a springboard elbow by Shida that was countered into the Gargano escape. Shida breaks out and locks in the hoverboard lock, which Gargano gets out of. Shida attempts a Rana and Gargano stops the momentum. Shida then tries to go for the armbar again, so he's dangling off of Gargano as Gargano then long darts Shida into the second turnbuckle. Both are on the top, and then the diving armbar into the middle of the ring off the top, which was great. Gargano was so close to tapping out, but tries to roll and finally makes the ropes. And then both start fighting on the ramp, and Shida with a running boot square to the arm of Gargano. Shida then hangs off the arm of Gargano again, and Gargano hangs Kushida up on the ropes. Then Kushida rolls to the outside. Gargano with a one final beat DDT on the ramp, rolls Kushida back in the ring, hits a second in the ring, 1, 2, 3, and Gargano retains the title. And yeah, this was an absolute barn burner of a match.
Yeah, it was outstanding. Like I said earlier, like feels like an hour ago. There was just so many points in this match where I was like, Gargano's going to win. Like, he's going to retain. And just as the match went on, it just felt more and more and more like Kushida was going to do it. And it just kept me so engaged throughout pretty much the whole thing.
Well, we'll move on to the next match, which was the second Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic final, this time pitting MSK of Nash Carter and Wes Lee against the grizzled young veterans Zach Gibson and James Drake. He's got a face on his arse.
He's got a face on his arse.
Face on his arse. He's got a face on his arse. MSK start the match with their awesome flips and dives, including Lee with a dive to the outside on both of the grizzled young vets. Then Carter out for a dive. Gets Drake, but Gibson bails. Then Gibbo follows up with a clothesline, taking Carter out. The grizzled young veterans then work on Carter for a period of time of the match. There's a Doomsday attempt, but Lee counters into a roll-up, which gets 2. The shoving shooting star from Carter. There we go. I was about to call him by his fucking indie name. Onto the grizzled young vets, and then a reverse Rana from MSK. There was a senton and a spiral tap from MSK for 2. But the spiral tap looked fucking awesome from Wesley. MSK set up for their finisher, but there was a low bridge on Lee. And then the suicide Doomsday device from grizzled young veterans onto Lee on the outside. Carter face off both vets, but a powerbomb backstabber combo only gets 2 from them. The ticket to Mayhem is stopped by Lee. And then finally, MSK hit the blockbuster heart attack, and MSK have won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Which, I'm not going to lie, I really didn't think was going to happen.
I was more than convinced it was going to happen. Just the way they'd be built up. But she just had a funny story before we go back into this conversation about the wrestling. Whilst you were talking there, I muted my mic and farted. And Fergal was sleeping. And as I farted, he just lifted his head and looked at me as if to go, "You absolute cock." Anyway, no, I was very convinced that MSK were going to win it. I think MSK should have won it, given that the Grizzled Young Veterans got there last year. They brought MSK in as this super fucking new tag team. Yeah, that makes total sense to me, and I'm not against it.
I mean, fair enough, but like the kind of thing that I thought was like the fact that they were hyping so much about how Grizzled Young Vets were in the final last year. They were like, "Oh well, this is going to be our year this year," and I thought like, "Oh man, like." So, like, giving MSK, like, the sort of rub to get to the finals is a really good rub, considering the fact that they're a brand new tag team in NXT. So, like, you know, let them go to the final, and then that's where they get stopped by the veterans. No pun intended. Fuck you. And that's kind of where I thought, like, it would end for them. So I was actually on the boat of people that were surprised that they won.
They're very much on the opposite end of that spectrum.
Fair it is. I mean, I was happy that they won. And I can't help but feel as if, like, this time next year, if the vets may turn face and then maybe win the thing. Like,
I fucking hope not. They're one of those teams I don't think would work as a face. Their whole shtick is just not a face. Like the whole soon, you know, that doesn't work for a face. And I think that's such an important part of their gimmick and their shtick that I really hope they don't try and make that as a face thing. If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They could maybe make it as a chant along thing.
Yeah.
While the crowds
like
are back.
That's the thing I can see is like, we are Liverpool's #1, and points make it the crowd soon to be NXT's #1. There's avenues you can go where you can, like, again, right back to that conversation we had for about half an hour earlier.
I mean, maybe I just have to hear it in that context, but the context I hear it in now, I'm totally like, nah, that's the way forward. If that makes sense. I could be talking shite, but that's meh.
Warning.
We have some potential breaking news that I've just seen. As of right now, it's just put down as rumour.
Uh-huh.
However, as we know, NXT is now considered the third brand.
Yes.
Well, WWE's new main developmental promotion has just been not announced, but has started taping episodes.
Ooh.
And within the next few weeks to months, we will have NXT Evolve.
That is really bizarre, considering the fact that you brought that up at the beginning of this episode.
Yep. NXT Evolve, which is headed by Gabe Sapolsky, however the fuck you pronounce it.
Sapolsky.
Yep, is now in the works. It's now been taped, which is the reason behind WWE's big signing spree the last week or so for
The
these
last
developmental
3
contracts.
years.
No, but recently, like, when was the last time they signed like 20 wrestlers in a week? It's basically what they've done in the last week. The likes of Blake Christensen and stuff like that. So apparently, NXT Evolve is now in production and will start broadcasting soon.
WWE, I watch enough wrestling. Jesus Christ, give me a break.
Gabe Sapolsky is obviously the main man, but his second in command is Jeremy Borash, apparently.
Hey, JB, my fucking boy, my apparent husband. I don't know if I've told that. I don't know if I've told that story.
So yeah, its title belts and graphics have seemingly been produced with the NXT Evolve branding. However, this could potentially change. So there is definitely another NXT brand coming, like main brand coming.
So this will now staple NXT as the actual third brand, and NXT Evolve will obviously be the actual developmental.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, you heard it here last, probably.
Yeah. Well, that news broke 2 hours ago, so might get here first, you might not. It might not even be true. We're just reading shit off the internet, but
What marks we is.
yes, absolutely. But interesting nonetheless.
Very interesting. Because, I mean, this is something for another time, but it's going to be interesting to see who they highlight as the big players. I mean, again, as I say, we'll have this conversation maybe on the next episode, maybe when we have Robbo back. But what we can maybe do is just kind of have a look at some of the people that they've signed that have maybe not hit NXT TV yet, and see who we think might be kind of the breakout stars that are about to maybe rise up to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Once we
maybe
get a bit more information on this NXT Evolve thing.
Totally. Well, that is very interesting indeed, though.
Yeah, see where it goes. So let's continue on with NXT Takeover Vengeance Day.
The triple threat match for the NXT Women's Championship as Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm challenge Io Shirai for said championship. This was the match I was referencing earlier when I said I thought this match was far too short, because arguably this seemed like it was going to be an absolute burn burner match, and it was, but I just felt like it was just a little too short.
I feel the thing that this match was missing was the title change. The fact the title change wasn't happening, I think it was probably the right length and the right... Oh, look, it's Grizzos. But yeah, no, I thought this match was probably the right length and the right booking for the fact the title wasn't changing. Like, if the title was changing, I would like to have seen it a 20-minute fucking tearing each other's heads off thing. But if that title didn't change, then I'm not overly fussed about it, if that makes sense.
Well, this is one of these kind of things where, I mean, obviously we've already kind of spoiled the ending that Io Shirai retained, but, I mean, why would you listen to the show if you hadn't watched the show already? So, but my sort of reasoning with this is the whole, I feel like this is kind of, one of those matches that you have where it's all about progression. This was there in the way specifically, and then we'll get to it when we get to the end of the match, but like there's going to be something coming out of this. So anyway, I will run down the match and then I'll get to the point I'm about to make. So Mercedes goes after Io before the ring introductions even happen, and this match started quickly. I keep writing Mercedes Martinez as just MM. So Mercedes keeps Io from joining the match and keeps trying to keep it one-on-one with Io Shirai. Io was in for the dropkick rejoining the match. There was a spot during the outside where Tony started cleaning the announce table and the whole thing just kind of collapsed. I know how you feel on announce table because I would probably collapse if Tony came anywhere near me. Mercedes with a spinebuster for 2. Io with a crossface on Toni Storm, and then Mercedes comes in and puts the Dragon Sleeper on Io Shirai. So all three of them are working on submissions of the one below them, and Tony working on a submission on the mat apparently. Mercedes with a German, but stays in the tree of woe, taking Toni Storm off the top rope. This gave Io the chance to get up and hit a stomp on Mercedes. Mercedes sends Io into the plexiglass on the outside, which looked absolutely brutal. Tony attempts the Storm Zero on the outside, but is countered by Mercedes. Io is up on the scaffold and then dives onto both challengers. There's a fishy buster from Mercedes for a 2 count on Storm. Storm headbutts Mercedes. Storm headbutts Storm, which... Ugh. So Storm headbutts Mercedes, then hits the Storm Zero. Mercedes kicks out. There's a flying headbutt from Storm, and the ref kind of just dilly-dallied. So he starts to go for the cover. And boom, Io Shirai comes out of nowhere, hits the moonsault, and Toni Storm rolls away, and then pins Mercedes Martinez for the victory. Io Shirai retains the title. Again, as it says, this was a pretty short match, and I was a little bit heartbroken from it, but now I feel that the whole basis of this match was to take Mercedes Martinez out of the title picture and Toni Storm to have a gripe as to get another match.
Yeah, I was incredibly surprised that Martinez took the pin. That's like, if you'd said to me, pick 5 things that would happen in this match, her taking the pin wasn't one of them.
Mm-mm. Exactly. The fact that they took her out of Retribution to come back to NXT, and it's like, right, Mercedes is going to be the next champion. Absolutely. Like, there's a reason as to why they took her out of this faction and put her back into NXT.
I actually think they've probably taken Mia Yim out of Retribution as well, to be honest. And obviously she was off for a couple of weeks because of the COVID.
Yeah.
But Keith Lee's been back since then, and she's not. Which makes me think they're letting us forget about her before they put her back to NXT. Which I absolutely think they should do, because I think it's an absolute fucking travesty that she was even in that faction to begin with. And Dijakovic as well, to be fair. The others make total sense because they weren't really used on NXT, and they have a legitimate "we were fucked over" gripe. But when you use like say Dijakovic and Dominic Dijakovic and shit, absolutely not, man. He was fucking wrestling for fucking titles and all that, and he was absolutely not underused. I think Mia Yim falls under the same category, and I think the fact that she's not been back since her COVID test, to me, says that she won't be back as part of Retribution going forward. Just a theory. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, just a theory. Yeah, like absolutely. Let's see how we go from here. But as I say, I kind of like that whole idea that I brought up earlier of if Mercedes was still in there, like Retribution could have went for the women's tag titles with the two of them. Like that would have been pretty cool. Like, I don't know. Mustafa.
The issue with that is though, the problem with that is though is the fact that Retribution are fucking booked so badly on the main roster that actually was maybe a detriment to them. having the two females go for the female titles, but the guys are just kind of like, hey, how you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, doing nothing. And I really hope that Mia Yim has been pulled from the whole Retribution thing.
Well, considering the fact
do,
that like her debut match, her mask fell off.
Yeah, like Mia Yim is such an awesome fucking wrestler, and she should not. And I actually like, for Dominic as well, I don't think he should be wasted there either.
Yeah. I mean, like, that was the whole thing that we could argue from day one is the people that you're involving in this faction are not people that deserve to be here. Like, this whole faction, when it started with Retribution, absolutely Mustafa should have been the leader because he does have his reasons. Maybe people like Dio Madden and Shane Thorne, yeah, they apply. But maybe I can't help but feel as if one of them could have been like maybe Robert Stone or something like that. Or
yeah. See that would have worked because fucking Robert Stone is actually a pretty good wrestler. That has been, you could argue he's been wasted in NXT in the Robert Stone gimmick.
Yeah, because he doesn't wrestle, and then when he did wrestle, it was, oh, look at me, I'm a comedy act.
Yeah, Robbie E was fucking fantastic. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of other people that could have been in that faction. Bo Dallas, to harken back to what we were talking about earlier, put Bo Dallas in that faction.
There you go.
Boom.
Fucking writes itself.
Put Bo Dallas in that faction and put Aleister Black as the leader. All the sense in the world.
Wow. I know I was reading a thing earlier, apparently that Andrade and Aleister Black are absolutely ready to go.
Yeah.
And WWE just doesn't see anything in them, and it's like...
Well, I read that as well. Vince doesn't see anything in them. But see the whole see the whole Retribution faction, though. Aleister Black, as their leader, makes all the sense in the world.
Or even just, you know, keep Mustafa as the head, but like Aleister Black is the second in command.
No. Do you know what I think you should do? Aleister Black is the leader, is the, forgive the AEW reference, the exalted one. And
the higher up.
And have Mustafa as the mouthpiece.
Yeah.
So Aleister Black says nothing, like ever. He's out there with them all the time, but he says nothing. And he just relays what he wants to say to Mustafa Ali, and then he fucking says it. And kind of book Aleister Black is like the Antichrist. Not the Antichrist, but you know what I mean? Like a god type character. That
a deity.
Yeah, a deity, yeah. Just passes his word down to someone else to say because it's way out of his need to be saying it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like Aleister Black could still live in that weird little dark room, and then like just be like Mustafa kind of goes up to him while he's like kind of doing the whole hamana thing, and then Aleister just whispers some words in his ear, and then Mustafa's like, no worry, Chief. We got this. And then he comes out.
Yeah. Do matches with Aleister Black, right, on Raw. That's just basically like the bell rings, blackout 1, 2, 3 into the fucking meditation pose or whatever. Just make him unstoppable with these minions that have been overlooked. Like the same gimmick, just with a leader that's unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. It's not hard. Do you know what I mean? Like,
really isn't. And then just make Retribution a male stable. Like, do you need to have a woman in there? Especially since the one woman you have left is someone that you can argue has had, a lot of NXT presence. she's wrestled on takeovers for the women's title. Like,
She
you
is
can't take that away from her.
Absolutely no reason to be pissed off with WWE's booking of her. No.
Yeah.
Ali, right? Ali, you could get away with because of the whole when he got injured and Kofi ended up the Kofi Mania thing, right? That works. Totally works. I get that. But like say Mia Yim and like say Dominic Dijakovic and all that, it doesn't work. Like at all, it makes no sense. None. But if you look at what's his face?
Shane Thorne.
Yeah. Works for him. He was brought as part of a tag team. His tag team partner fucked off and he was left in the fucking gutter.
Went back to Japan.
Yeah, he was left in the fucking gutter. Do you know what I mean? That works. But Dominic Dijakovic and Mia Yim doesn't work at all. Not even close to working. Which is why they've had to put masks on them. Because if they didn't put masks on them, people would go, nah, they were pretty successful, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then, as I say, fucking Mia Yim's fucking first match, she has her mask falls off in the first 30 seconds. It's like, oh, it's Mia Yim, holy fuck.
Yeah, we didn't work that out ourselves.
Yeah, like you can tell by the blue hair that she has.
Anyway, let's get on with this pay-per-view because time is getting on, actually, now that I look at it.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I feel like we've really covered a lot of, like, problems recently with wrestling. But what wasn't a problem was Pete Dunne versus Finn Balor for the NXT Championship. Big old main event, and as I'm led to believe, a first time ever, which is quite interesting considering the fact that both of them are from the UK or the surrounding parts of the UK. And I believe, I can't remember who it was that said it on commentary. I think it may have been Wade Barrett that says, oh, any time that Pete Dunne came into a promotion, Finn Balor moved house.
Technically true. Technically true. For me, though, what I really liked about the build to this was the fact that Pete Dunne in the promo package referred to this as European wrestling.
Not British wrestling.
Yeah, and not the typical American mistake of it's British wrestling. It's not British wrestling. And to say that the Irish community is part of the British community. The Irish community is part of the British community is a very big deal that's quite upsetting to quite a lot of people. So it's good that they.
Well, that
do you remember the video game where the storyline was the United Kingdom?
Yeah.
They had Sheamus in it, and it's like he's not from a country of the United Kingdom.
Yeah, no.
And you're talking about a country that fucking was at war for 800 years over being part of the fucking United Kingdom. Do you know what I mean? So it's good that they didn't say British wrestling or any of that nonsense in the promo. It was European wrestling.
But then that also brings in stuff like Germany. Like, obviously, WXW has been a main part of European wrestling, and that's all globbed in there as well. I mean, you look at Imperium. Most members of Imperium came from WXW, and Walter, your NXT UK champion, is part of that promotion. Was part of that WXW for a long time.
Yeah, well, I get that, but that's very obvious that that's different countries. But the UK and Ireland, particularly to Americans, is very much a grey area. They think it's all the same thing. So it's good to see that they weren't suggesting it was the same thing and they were keeping it separate. But I feel
European
wrestling.
I feel like that's Pete Dunne bringing in all that as well. Like, this isn't just British wrestling. Yeah, maybe it probably got big here, but you know what? Like, people like Alistair Wolf and Walter and
Alexander Wolf,
Marcel Bartel, and like the likes, and even obviously the other one, Fabian Eichner. Like it's European wrestling. This is what we do in Europe. Everybody is calling it British wrestling, but no, like there's other countries that are doing this stuff as well.
Yeah. I think
And
though,
it all comes hand in hand with each other.
Yeah. I think my point might have been a bit lost in translation there. I just meant not referring to the Irish and the British as being the same nationality. The way we'd refer to the Scottish and the English being the same. Sorry, the Irish and the English being the same.
Yeah.
The way to refer to the Scottish and English being the same.
I get what you're saying, but like I think I'm just taking that a step further.
Yeah.
Pete Dunne's worked on these companies, so he's seen all of it.
It's a very big and very sensitive subject that WWE haven't necessarily got right the last few years. Like, say, prime example is a video game with the United Kingdom faction. Yeah. And it's like, Sheamus isn't from the United Kingdom. And it's actually quite a fucking sore subject to bring up to an Irishman. Like, do you know what I mean?
I'd really love to know what he feels about that.
Me too. I would love to talk to him about that.
Because the whole, I remember the Titantron, it was pure like, wasn't it Drew, Regal,
Barrett,
and Sheamus, and like it was like the United Kingdom, Scottish flag, United Kingdom, the United Kingdom, English flag, the United Kingdom, and then it was like Irish flag, the United Kingdom. It was like no.
There was actually a civil war going on until like 1999-ish over that fucking whole thing, and it's like, did you know that? Video game developer guys. It's not as if the war ended like fucking 50 years ago. It ended in our lifetime. Do you know what I mean? It's still a very touchy subject.
Is Finlay from the part of Ireland that's part of the United Kingdom?
Yeah, Finlay's from Belfast.
So if Finlay was in that faction, everything would have been fine. But you had Sheamus in it, who's from the part of Ireland that's not part of the United Kingdom, which made it the problem.
Yes.
Oy. That's typical American for you.
Anyway, I'm battering on about it, but I like the fact that they didn't, because I fully expected them to be billing this as if it was a UK dream match and all that. And I'm glad that they didn't mention that and they made it was a European dream match. And I'm like, right, thank fuck they've learned some lessons at least about the history of other fucking countries. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't be surprised if one of the two of them went to the commentators and like, call this European, not UK, because...
Well, a lot of Finn Balor's moves, signature moves, are named after Irish revolution moments or significant historical events. Like 1916 is the year of the Easter Rising, which is where the Republic of Ireland started fighting back against the British, which started the whole IRA stuff and all that going forward. And then he's also got Bloody Sunday, which is also the recent history moment where I don't know the exact number, but it was like 23 protesters were shot dead in fucking Derry. Were protesting the British occupation of their town and stuff like that. So a lot of the shit that he's got in his moveset is very based upon
very grim.
This whole thing. Do you know what I mean? So like to be mistaken for being a British wrestler would probably have been incredibly insulting to the guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very much so.
But there you go. It is what it is. But you didn't know that, did you?
No, I absolutely didn't.
I just explained to you why Bloody Sunday's called Bloody Sunday and why 1960 is called 1916.
I absolutely knew that these were relevant things, but I just didn't know why. So, like, the fact that you just kind of laid that all out for us is, it's like, now I need to try and run down this match as if this was,
Now that I think about it, I don't think he's used Bloody Sunday in a while, or at least it's not been called Bloody Sunday in a while. But it was when he first came in.
Was it? Isn't Bloody Sunday now 1916? I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh, it could have been. Yeah, you may be right. But it's still, it's basically two different names of the same theme. Just one's a bit more PG than the other.
I'm pretty sure Bloody Sunday was 1916 in like maybe New Japan or maybe very early NXT, but then they're like, we don't really want to use the word bloody, so can you change it? It's like, okay, we'll call it 1916 then.
So essentially the same thing. Just one's a bit more PG than the other.
Yeah, totally. But we'll move on to the actual match after that very deep history lesson. So, Dunn starts working the fingers and the arm of Balor early on. As both work the ground game with submissions. Balor stomps on the foot of Dunn and locks in a leg submission, so he starts working on the leg of Dunn. And then he continues with a half crab and then a leg lock. Dunn with a stomp on the bent arm of Balor, very Shayna Baszler style, and then a German. Balor then fights back with a backstabber and a sling blade. There's a dropkick in the corner, and Balor attempts the coup de grace. Dunn counters with the triangle as Balor comes off the top rope. Balor finally makes the ropes, but Dunn rolls back to the middle, and Dunn starts punching Balor in the face, keeping him in the triangle. Balor makes the ropes, but then passes out. So there was this really awkward moment of like, well, he did pass out.
Wake up! Wake up! What's that Disney movie? Oh,
Finding Nemo.
Yeah, wake up! Come on, wake up! That's basically what that was. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Pretty sure it was Nemo nudging his mother.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No, it would have been Nemo's dad because Nemo wasn't born at that point. Yeah, apparently I've seen Disney movies. Oh, look at me, I'm a fucking 4-year-old. I was about fucking like 12 years old when that movie was out. Fuck yous. Don't judge me. Balor finally wakes up and says he can go. Dunn looks for the better end, but it's countered into a 1916 attempt. Balor locks in the Regal stretch style submission, and Dunn breaks out by snapping the fingers. Dunn keeps hold of the arm as Balor tries to kick him off. Dunn attempts the better end again, but Balor fights out, so Dunn has Balor's arm between his legs, so he just kind of yanks the arm up, technically doing one of the most legal low blows in wrestling, which is something that I really quite appreciated. The bitter end connects, but only gets 2. There's a second bitter end attempt, which gets countered to a 1916 that only gets 2. Dunn snaps the fingers again, but gets stomped on the back by Balor. Balor takes out the mouth guard, just right out of Dunn's mouth, and throws it away. There's a big drop kick, and the coup de grace connects on Dunn, and finishes it off with a 1916 just for, extra measure. Finn Balor retains after what was another really quite incredible match, I must admit. But the story does not end there.
No, it doesn't. I think this is the big talking point, which is why I just let you get through the fucking match, because this is...
But I mean, this is one of these things, this was a great match. It could have potentially ended there and everything was alright. But Burch and Lorcan then come in and attack Finn Balor. And then the Brand start beating down Balor. The Undisputed Era run in to make the save. So O'Reilly bends down, helps Balor up, and then you can hear her like O'Reilly saying, "No, I respect you. I respect you." Also, like one of the other little things was like Balor, like kind of the whole time after
I
he won it.
loved that they couldn't put the fingers out. I absolutely loved that. Like I thought that was such a neat little bit of fucking detail that he couldn't stretch his fingers out to do the gun symbol. I really liked that he was doing the whole fucking clawed fingers thing. I thought that was fantastic bit of television.
It was very Chandler when he was playing the Pac-Man game. My hands are messed up.
Yeah. Which they absolutely were. It was crack. See if Balor had taken that amount of damage.
So that was another nice little pun that you accidentally done there. Aye, it was cracking. Like when the sound got cracked.
Like, see if he'd taken that amount of damage to his fingers that at the end of the match just went
pew 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 pew.
Yeah. Like silly. Totally silly. I'm really glad that they did that to the point where they couldn't. They're like, oh, I can't make the fucking gesture with my hands because my fingers are sore. Because Pete Dunne was fucking breaking them the full match. Like, I like that. I did really like that.
Yeah. So as I say, O'Reilly starts to help Balor up, talking about respect, and then the Undisputed Era and Finn Balor stand tall. What a great little moment to go off the air for. Absolutely great. Like,
do you know what I thought was like? Unfortunately, I got the end spoiled for me, so I knew it was happening whilst I was watching it. But see, if I hadn't had it spoiled, I would have looked at that as going, "Is this Finn joining the Undisputed Era?" Because see the way they did it, where they were throwing up a symbol in his direction, it's in like throw up with his man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I thought at the time.
I was kind of like, holy shit, is he joining the Undisputed Era? See, if I hadn't got spoiled what then happened, I'd have been like, oh my god, he's joining the Undisputed Era. This is awesome. And then, obviously, there was a super kick or two to be had.
Yep. Because Adam Cole... right, I'm going to read the notes out as I put them. It's like, O'Reilly helps Balor up and talks about respecting Balor, and the UE and Balor stand tall. ... Never fucking mind. Super kick by Adam Cole, and then super kick to O'Reilly. What the fuck?
What really interests me about this is where it's going to go. Because it's going to go to a feud between Adam Cole and Finn Balor, or is it going to go to a feud between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly? Or is it going to result in WrestleMania weekend? Adam Cole, Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly for the title. Or if you really want to make it interesting, fling fucking Roddy Strong in there as well.
Yeah. And then, you know what? Have Roddy Strong win. Just to fuck everybody else over.
I think if they're going to do that, I think Kyle has to win. He's groomed, he's ready to be the guy. He has to win. And then they can then run a one-on-one feud between him and Adam Cole for a couple of months. But
you can run the Adam Cole and Roddy Strong against Red Dragon when comes back.
Do you know what my biggest problem is about... Not my biggest problem, my biggest concern about this story that they're going to run?
Mm-hmm.
What music are they going to give Adam Cole? Because they have to have the Adam Cole, Big Bang, and all that in it, and it has to have the boom, all that shit has to still be there, but it can't
Adam
be the
Cole,
Undisputed Era's music.
I think Adam Cole keeps the Undisputed Era theme song, and everybody else gets new theme music.
Oh, that's literally the only way I think it would work. Like.
I agree, but like as I say, Adam Cole needs to keep the Undisputed Era theme song, and it be his theme song only, and then everyone else gets new theme music. Even Roddy Strong could go back to his old like kind of awesome, like theme that he had, because that was pretty badass.
How I think they should do it though to make that happen is it should be Adam Cole says that, say in the next episode of NXT, which will be tonight when this is recorded.
Yeah.
But he says like, oh, listen guys, that was nothing against you. It's just you guys are my dudes and you're my bubble. Like the Undisputed Era is still real to me. And then as they break it up, Adam Cole is still Undisputed Era. Therefore, he still comes out to Undisputed Era music, does all the fucking Undisputed Era stuff, whereas the rest of them break away slowly. Yeah. So he basically undoes the thing that he loved the most. Do you know what I mean?
Interesting. Well, I can't wait to see what kind of comes out of this. Like, genuinely. Like, this was a great show, but it ended with one of the most interesting thing that has a lot of questions that actually makes me really excited to see NXT this week.
Well, put it this way, tomorrow morning, once I wake up and I log into my work computer to start working, the first show I'm putting on is NXT. For the first time in a long time, I'm not watching AEW first.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, should we wrap the shindig up?
Let's, because...
You have to pee?
I do need to pee.
I can tell because you're dancing in front of the webcam. So on that note, I have been Chris. The fucking Hughes.
I have been the Griz.
Ho!
C or
yeah. Yeah, later.
Remember, you can follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Heel Podcast. And also, don't forget, you can hear our archives on the World Wide Web at heelpodcast.co.uk. Well, that's all, folks. So long. Have a good day.